How's it going, guys? And welcome to the mid-season review for DCL Season 3. In this video, I am joined by a captain of every single team as we discuss the highs and lows that have been seen in the first 3 weeks of the season. This was a video that I really wanted to do as part of my DCL related content, and it's something that I think has come out quite well. The interviews were very insightful into what's been going right and what's been going wrong with a wide variety of teams, and I hope you guys enjoy. Just for context, we will be starting from the bottom, so with here in Yoshi's, and working our way up through the standings throughout the video. And I know the runtime that you're seeing is pretty extortionate, so I just want to kind of quickly preface this and then get right into the content. So without further ado, let's hop right in. Kicking us off with this roundtable, we begin with the 8th seed Yarn Yoshis, captained by Luxence and Gorax. Unfortunately, with a total combined record of 4 wins and 20 losses. Yes, the number 420 is there, and that's kind of funny, but this isn't a laughing matter. I am joined by Lux here. Lux, say hi.
Hello.
That was easy. So I guess the leading question here is unfortunately a bit of a brutal one, but what's gone wrong in these first couple of weeks?
You could say just about everything.
Oh.
So I think it's a combined effort of a lot of things not going our ways, like starting from auction. I don't think it's like too much of a secret. We're really looking at TDG, and obviously, like, people don't know what happened with TDG in the auction. So all of a sudden, and we kind of struggled to recover from that, like, within the auction itself, after being caught off guard with that. Drafting was a bit of a mess in the server, and then combination of, like, problems with my internet, for example, and just unluckiness in games, like chokes, has led us like down this path of just really shitty score.
It's just one of those things, just one of those seasons. Sometimes they happen. Like, I've been there plenty of times myself. Like, I'm technically in it right now. We'll get to that later on, but that's just the way of the land at the minute, I guess. So we have the records here.
We've experienced one together, even like on Rocket Rangers.
Oh, good God! Don't remind me of that. I think I went positive that season though, but we were shit.
But I just remember beating Kerrigan in low tier with 4 choice fans. That was really funny.
Oh, that game was iconic. Yeah, that game was brilliant. And then I think that brought to game 7, which game 7 they got like 6-0'd. Oh, that was.
No, game 7 was a forfeit.
Oh, even better.
I don't know if you remember, but.
Oh, I don't. I tried to block that season out of my
mind. We lost off of forfeit in game 7. It was terrible.
Yeah, no, I'm just trying to block that out of my mind sometimes.
Oh, that's fair, yeah.
But enough about a Clash of Kings season from a grand total of, 4 years ago, where I did write-ups for every single game. And let's get back to... I have the individual records up here. This is not... I do not intend on using this video of like, oh, this guy stinks. So we're just going to gloss over that real quick. And we'll just kind of go down to the schedule here. So, weeks 1 to 3, 2 very brutal losses to start the season, and then the loss to Foxes as well. And you could say the schedule has been... It's been unforgiving, for sure. Like, you look at Judgment and Foxes, and they kind of are the two runaway trains right now.
For us. Yeah, I think having to start with Judgment and Foxes in week 2, week 3 is definitely tough. And Alliance was like peak of my internet dying. It's still not great right now, but I think having to try and do like 30 mocks on like 8 megabytes per second internet, like, is not fun at all. I was very tired that week. in the weeks up until now as well. So having to like try and support a team off of that, while Gorex also has been busier than he expected, which is not helping.
Yeah,
is really tough. So
yeah, there kind of seems to be a lot of similarities.
On top of that, like a lot of these series as well could have been closer, but there's just. Yeah, you can go ahead first.
Oh, okay, fresh. I was just letting you finish your point. Yes, for context, guys, Lux's internet is still a little bit dodgy at the minute, but we're soldiering through. But I think what I wanted to say is that I think there's a lot of kind of similarities there.
Yeah, it fades in and out.
Yeah, there's a lot of similarities there between the team that I captained in DCL Season 1. We also started off with a pretty poor record, but essentially what happened there was a very similar thing of I ended up a lot busier than I was expecting to, and Theo was also incredibly busy, and we just weren't quite there to be able to support the team in the way that we wanted to, and that was kind of reflecting in the results. So I think there kind of is comparisons there. We were able to somewhat pull it around.
No, that's definitely fair.
But you know,
I'm hoping to get that turnaround in the second half as well.
Yeah, you know, life happens. But anyways, you were saying in regards to the
exactly.
Judgment and Fox's series, in terms of how they could have been closer.
Yeah, so like even the Alliance series as well, and like a lot of games have come down to like final turn chokes for us, like myself included. Like week 1 versus Kyle, I click Hydro Pump versus Ogre Pawn, like because it was a very obvious Terra there on Ogre Pawn on the Ice Beam. If I click Hydro Pump there, Ogre Pawn probably dies, and then suddenly I win the end game. If I make that call and don't choke, I probably like at least the record becomes closer. And I think there's been a lot of games just from like a bunch of different players on my team. Not to bash any of them, because like a lot of these end games are tough. Whether that's because I didn't prepare them well enough or because they end up choking like on their own, that's like to be seen, right? Yeah, I think there's partial responsibility on me as well, definitely, for not preparing them well enough to be able to close out those kinds of end games. So, but when it happens like as much as I've been seeing, it does get really like frustrating as well to watch. Like I said, my own end game, I'm also very much at fault there. But things like Paddock's missing Magma Storm on final turn versus Hydra in week 1, that's really tough. If we get that, and I don't choke as well, then suddenly a 3-5, right?
Yeah, looks a lot
there's
more
like 2. Yeah, exactly. And then there's 2 like games as well or like 2 or 3 games as well versus the Judgment series, like where we just choke in the final turn. Like it was talked about a lot in the like Smog Draft general chat, like the Cookie versus Jake game. For example, Cookie clicks the right moves in the end game, and then suddenly we have a very good shot at winning that game. Or, for example, the Agent Flame versus Agency's own game there. Agent gets the 50-50 right, and then we suddenly like get another win. It becomes really tough when that happens a lot, but it's kind of been happening at every opportunity.
Yeah, so, which is incredibly infuriating.
It's just
especially
tough
as a captain, where it's kind of at the end of the day, it's your head on the line essentially. But I think there's kind of enough looking back, and I guess the next thing up is looking kind of back, but also forwards. Because fun fact, we have all the drafts here, but fun fact, this update's live, so you can actually see the transactions in this, and that's why there is a missing mon here, which I'm sure that'll be filled before the deadline, unless you want to rock with a 7-mon team illegally.
Yeah,
good luck with that.
We've already actually filled it. So we traded Metagross for Klefki and Roserade for Slowbro and added Skunk Tank. So
yes, I did.
Something we noticed with that draft especially was fire resists were very tough. We played Infernape with that draft, and it was very easy to just get around stuff. So
Yeah, needed
absolutely
some
needing the fire resist there.
for sure.
So Slowbro filled that role nicely.
Yeah. No, because I think is there any kind of I think you look at these SV drafts. I think this SV1 has kind of been spoken to death in various different places in terms of it's just not quite what you need. I think you're in the process of blowing this up, so we'll just kind of leave that be. 2 through 4 seem to be doing like
Yeah.
moderately okay. Like there doesn't seem to be any major issues there.
Yeah.
Maybe minor tweaking.
Yeah,
And
two
then
2 through 4 are definitely going to have some changes. So, and then 5 is gonna get blown up.
yeah. Who knew that Terra Weevil Terra Goldango just wasn't quite gonna get it done?
Yeah, it wasn't like something we were planning to do too much in the draft, but because of a lot of like last minute switches between mons.
Mid talking about SV5.
Oh, okay, yeah, SV5 is also one that we were like looking to blow up essentially. And something that just happened a lot during drafting was we'd have ideas and we tried to pivot too much between ideas really. There's a ton of times where I'd like wake up, for example, and then the draft had just been shifted in a different direction entirely, or and then some people wouldn't agree with that direction, so we tried to shift it again back to somewhere else. It just ended up going everywhere and became very directionless, just kind of wandered around like the board picking up mons. I think a similar thing happened to SV1 where it was like, okay, we really want, for example, like a good ground immunity as our thing, but we're not sure, so let's get Ogre Pawn first. We have it on a lot of plans, and then because we kept doing stuff like that, it just ended up with worse mons being picked earlier in favor of better mons that we would have been able to draft a better team around overall. So it led to drafts like SV1 and SV5, where it just kind of like there's an attempt at cooking, but we kind of just pitched a ball very softly and nothing happened off of it.
And you're just a crucial piece short in terms of kind of to tie it all in together. Whether that be, you know, that competent ground check on SV1, SV5, I'm not entirely sure. Better Terra captains? I don't know. Is that kind of the
yeah,
probably
better Terra captains for sure.
Yeah. Then I think with SS, then you know, you look at those drafts. I imagine you kind of have changes in mind. I feel like all those Paddock games have been relatively close. There's just been kind of
that's the thing with Paddocks this season. Like, I don't even feel like he's played bad. Like, for example, week 1 he played incredibly well, in my opinion, and then missed Magma Storm at the end. Week 2, I feel like prep was maybe a little insufficient, and we should have looked at that more. And in week 3, again, like he was up like 5 months to 1 at the end, and then just about lost the end game versus Latios. So
yeah,
it was really, really tough watching like that happen, because I really felt like he deserved to win both of those games, like week 1 and week 3.
Yeah. No, to be fair, like it's easy enough to kind of look at his record of 0-3 and be like, oh, he's probably struggling. But I think the main thing is you have to look at the quality that is the Sword and Shield pool this season. Like, it's just very difficult to have some sort of consistency because holy shit, that thing is competitive. So, like, that's not necessarily on the draft.
Sword Shield has been a very fun watch this season.
Oh, absolutely. Like, for sure. Because it's kind of Usum as well to an extent, but I think Swish definitely showcases it the most in regards to, like, you know, this is the highest caliber you will see this tier.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then
I think it speaks to the amount of close games as well that there's been. So
yeah, for sure. And then Usum and Oris, is there anything in particular you want to kind of touch on here?
Usum, I think, especially our 1 and 2, are very like weird. With 1, I think we kind of pigeonholed ourselves with Coco Mega Mom Mew, which in theory, like that seems very overwhelming to prep for, but in the end, like your final 5 pieces become kind of mediocre, obviously. So we were debating while drafting, like, should we do this or not? We ended up taking the gamble and it didn't pay off, which is unfortunate, but we're in the midst of changing, especially those two teams. I still think Usum 3 is actually pretty solid.
Yeah.
And overall doesn't have like too many flaws in it. Just unfortunate game with Cookie into Jake. So
yeah, and then to be fair, you're not the only victims of the Tap Coco Mega Mall thing. We'll get into that.
Yeah. Oras I think is mainly just Oras 1 I think looks good. I actually quite like that team. I probably would use it myself if I was playing Oras.
It's quite old school, actually.
It is a bit more old school, but I kind of like it that way. And then Oras 2, I think is a bit of an overcook. I think Mega Guard Lando Weavile is really strong in theory, but just wasn't rounded out well. And then Oras 3, I think stuff like we're missing a fire resist. Just like kind of obvious stuff that we kind of glossed over. So we're in the midst of, well, we just fixed our Oras 3 to an extent. I think this is probably going to be what it ends up looking like at the end. And then I want to have a look at Oras 2 still, for the most part. I think Oras 2, just closing it out better, I think is going to help it a lot.
Yeah. And then, neither of us are super well versed in VGC, but it seems like Repeat's doing relatively all right. I imagine he'll look at some of this stuff.
Yeah. In terms of like Repeat's been like very heavy on trying to improve the VGC drafts, and I have full faith in him.
Yeah.
I like have a little bit of VGC knowledge, but just not enough to like be able to give good input, I feel like. So I try to say a thing or two when I can, but I have one VGC draft experience. So
yeah, you just kind of leave that. You just kind of let them off because they actually know what you're talking about, and you don't want to like piss them off by. Like,
yeah, exactly. Repeat and Cookie, I fully trust in that. So.
Yeah, for sure. Well, hopefully things turn around. You've kind of a slightly more generous back end, and we shall see how things pan out. Massive series against Surfers, especially kind of based off of their week 3 momentum. And I think if they're able to get another result against you guys, they'll definitely be fancying themselves in like a position of strength. Whereas I think for you guys, it's definitely a case of getting back on track and not having the season over by week 4.
Absolutely. I think if we can manage to get a win against Surfers, I think we're looking very up for second half. Starting with momentum on a win would be really, really big for us going into the tougher series in the second half of Armory and Tacticians. So I think the Surfer series for us is going to be make or break. Yeah, to see if we can close out the season on a good note.
Yeah, 100%. And I wish you the very best of luck with it.
Thank you very much.
As we jump forward another couple wins, but are kind of still in the town where a depression session is in order, we have Make-A-Wish. And this one is a bit of a pill to swallow because I am a part of it. However, I'm not alone to discuss this. I am joined by Jay Scurf to kind of dissect,
everyone. Yeah.
Just to dissect exactly what has gone on through these first couple of weeks. So I will
for sure.
let you take it away and kind of where you want to get started.
Yeah. I mean, this is been a bit disappointing to say the least to start off. Yeah, for sure. Just from the captaincy perspective, probably from your player perspective, but I think there's a lot of stuff to talk about as to why we've sort of had this start. And obviously it is a bit depressing, like you said, but it's better to try to stay not too down on things, in my opinion. And there's, stuff to have optimism about and look forward to still with the rest of the season, regardless of how things go.
Yeah, 100%. And to be fair, I say terms like that just for the sake of comedic effect sometimes, but yeah, I completely get what you mean. And
content and coping,
there is mitigation here because we kind of have played what looks like is going to be 2 of the top 3, And if you can get momentum out of that Armory game, then maybe there is, like an outside shot. But
yeah, I mean, the way like Panda and I have been talking about, just other players as well, as they still hop in VC, because like the team's still active and the team still obviously wants to participate. Is like our chance of making playoffs, we would have to win out the season. We'd have to hit 8 points. You don't really make it anymore with 7 or less, obviously. Yeah. And I mean, if we won out, our chances would probably be very good because we'd have 4 wins, and that's the first tiebreaker. But that's like a really tough thing to do, especially with no room for error, no room to get unlucky, stuff like that. But yeah, I mean, it's a little tough looking at things, but I will say we played a team that is currently in a playoff spot and is getting 2 like stellar players after mids. And we played Judgment, who's been running away with things so far. And like Surfers, that was one where we were kind of biting ourselves, losing that for sure, because that's where we needed to make up at least a point or 2. But they're a respectable team nonetheless. And we had a tough schedule. We probably had one of the toughest schedules. And like going through the first 2 weeks, it obviously sucked. But we were kind of saying, at least me and Panda, like, if you were going to lose to any 2 teams to start the season, like this would make sense. And this would be a group that would, you could lose to. So it's tough, but we were still hoping to bounce back. It was just kind of nail in the coffin a little bit week 3, but I don't know. We're still a little hopeful.
Because I do think that Surfer series was kind of going to be make or break. I say make or break, but like, I think kind of as you look at it in 4 weeks' time, it could be make or break for either team. And I think that was just kind of the position that it was in. And unfortunately, we just weren't able to kind of pull it out. And
for sure, yeah.
I think kind of a lot of the issues stem from the fact of you kind of look at these teams here, you look at these records. There's a grand total of 2 wins in there's a grand total of 3 wins in SV, my bad. And then no wins in USUM, no wins in ORAS. And that is just a giant problem.
Yeah. So I'd love to speak about that. It's pretty rough because I mean, going into the tour, like, I mean, you look at me and Panda, and I think at least most people would probably say like they expect us to do pretty well in SV, because I think by the end of DPL, like DUI, where obviously we had a lot of the creative direction, if not like pretty much all of it, on terms of how the SV teams turned out and like the support. I mean, we finished, I think, the best SV team in the tour after everything was said and done, with like tiebreakers, playoffs, stuff like that, because we had Agent, we had Blitz joining the fold after mids. It's like you'd expect us to do a little better in SV. And I mean, that's one reason for optimism post mids, because we're obviously making a lot of changes to the teams and even to the players and like who's going to be playing in what slots. But yeah, you'd obviously hope for a lot better in SV. USUM, we always expected to be our weakest tier.
Yes.
And like we did try to get quite a few players to play it. Like we got Hunter, we got Cup, we have some other people who can support it or flex to it, like TDG, like Ryan. And that's just been kind of unfortunate, because Hunter, no fault of his own, like he's been moving, changing jobs. He's been really busy. So he wasn't available to slot week 3. Weeks 1 and 2, he wasn't available to do too much work outside of his own slot, let alone inside his slot. So, I mean, that's unfortunate because he's obviously our most expensive USUM player. And then, Cup, he was having some struggles. Ryan had a tough game against iPro, but we always expected to be a bit weaker there. Or else you'd probably expect us to be a bit better because we have you, we have Sablo, we have me, we have like TDG ready to support. And I mean, like for at least me, both my losses were very close games where I got a little bit outplayed. I mean, I technically got very lucky against Toxic, and then I got very unlucky on the last turn of the game. So that was also a bit sad that whatever, I shouldn't have been in that position, but if I hit Draco, I kind of just win, which would have been definitely nice. But yeah, so it's been tough, and there's a lot of reasons you can kind of look up on those things, because like I still think our ORAS teams are good. USUM, like right before this call, we've been talking about it pretty much all day, making changes there. So we'll see what happens, and we're definitely going to be changing up where people play post mids, right? So yeah, we'll see how it goes.
I think that's kind of the thing when you're ending up in a position like this, is like this unfortunately isn't my first rodeo of being on an 0-3 team, but it's just one of those things of you know, it's any sort of subtle adjustment that you think can work, like you might as well just go ahead and try it. And there definitely is, like, one thing we did talk about a lot in regards to, like, during the auction was just the flexibility of this team, especially when it comes to tier slots. So I think it's kind of time for that to come into play. And, you know, we'll kind of see will a slight change in tact prove to be more successful.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like, the thing is that at least I'm looking at is, I mean, this is just feedback I was getting about our auction, but people were saying, like, you have a lot of good players, but you don't have that many, like, absolute, like, carries for the team. And I think, like, all of our players have the capability to be very good and very self-sufficient, but just so many people have been busy or going through something, or there's just been some sort of, like, slight issue. And I think that's kind of hurt some of those regards, and it ends up making it go worse in some of these tiers. And then I think the other thing is also just stability versus, like, flexibility and changing things up. Because on one hand, like, I think our roster is one of the more flexible, where you could trot out a million variations of our team that could make sense on paper. But at the same time, it's good to give people consistent reps with the same teams, the same tier, stuff like that. So I think obviously because it hasn't worked, we have to make changes, but it's a hard balance. And I think even in our first 3 weeks, we did change things up a little more than we'd want to. Like, most of our players have played 2 tiers already. So that is a bit tough. Not necessarily a great thing or a bad thing, but it's just a hard balance, you know?
Yeah, it's definitely one of those things that's very difficult to kind of get right immediately. And you are 100% right. Like, you look at this graph here, that is 5 players that have played multiple tiers? Yeah, 5 players.
Yeah, and I mean, after mids, that number's just going to go up, right? So
yeah, exactly.
I mean, like, yeah, you already know, like, we have plans for that literally next week to change up, I think, like 2 or 3 or maybe 4 players. So, yeah.
Not giving too much away. I'm sure L5 will actually sit down and watch this whole vid just for any sort of time.
He probably will, knowing him. So if it's out by Sunday or whenever, then you never know.
So we'll keep our cards close to our chest here. One thing that we can kind of be a little bit looser on, I guess, is just in terms of the drafts themselves. SV, I think, you know, is kind of a work in progress. Some of them was just kind of the bottom ends needed cleaning up, hence why you see like the Conkelder and SV5 rather than the Manaphy that wasn't quite working. SV3, we'll let Panda cook. That's kind of figuring itself out right now. The Who team, you know,
that one's not really gonna go anywhere.
Yeah, exactly.
That's not a big spoiler. Like, that's just the Who team.
Yeah, and then kind of this SV1 has been a giant topic of conversation of constant back and forths, and we're just trying to figure out the best route for it.
That's for sure the busiest team. That's gonna be very different, I'm sure, by the time this video's out. And we've been talking about it a lot. Obviously, everyone has their own opinion, and that's like the least clear team as to who slots it and stuff like that. So we'll see where it goes. But obviously, you have a Torn Tinglu Petulant, you always have potential. So I think the team will end up. Yeah, it was an Aloe. Now it's a Petulant, which I think is a good trade to make overall. And it's going to be helpful for sure. So I don't know. We'll see where it goes, but that's a good core to build off of, where I think we can make it something very playable by the time mids is over anyways.
And worst case scenario, you can just copy paste the Armory team that's 3-0 right now. So
that's true. That's not a bad case. Yeah,
if you can't
we have all the tools for that.
Just have an exact mirror matchup next week. Yeah, that's totally what everybody wants.
For sure. But yeah, like the Who team that's staying. Sun, I mean, Panda's used this before quite a bit. He's had a lot of success with it when he's used it. And he's like the only guy in the world who likes Torkoal more. But I kind of get the vision because he yaps about it a lot. And I do think Sun teams have done well in general. And he hasn't, like, his only win is in SS, which is very weird because he's considered to be a very strong SV player. And that's where he's played 2 of his 3 games. So, and like his main thing has been like, obviously he's saying like, maybe I haven't prepped or played perfectly, but like the teams have felt very weak and hard to use. And he usually picks his team last, like as captain. So I think having the Sun will be helpful. And like SV4, I like that team a lot. I think that was more of a prep issue than even necessarily like play or anything. Cause like, I think you showcased that team really well last week where it looked pretty dominant. And nothing wrong with that team. SV5, like we've seen that structure work very well before, and Conk over Manaphy is just, a little small upgrade that I think will help that team out a little bit. Yeah, I mean, not even a lot, because we keep playing a high-tier Dark type with that team. Without the Conk and with the Manaphy, it's pretty rough. But now if we slot into Moon, Dark Ride, Meow, whatever it is, Conk does a lot for that team. Yeah, so I like those trades quite a bit, and I think our SV is going to look up a lot after mids, regardless of what happens.
Yeah, I'm in complete agreement. I think just we were in a position where you look at that SV1, it just was not functioning the way that we thought it might. SV3, just, there was a Terra Garganackle on it, which, the less said about that, the better. And then, as you said, there was just kind of slight issues in regards to approach with SV4 and SV5 to an extent. And then I think Who's ran into some matchups where it's just some stuff that he's not quite equipped for, or there was just kind of really well prepped sets by times that just caught him off guard completely. So
yeah, Finch had that D-Knight set, which was really good, but a little, hard to prep for, a little fishy. So if you don't see the exact sequence coming, it's hard to win that exchange. Otherwise, he's played well. Yeah. So
yeah.
I had one more thought. Oh yeah. So SV1 and SV3 were the two teams we've obviously changed or are changing the most. And I believe when those teams had critical draft picks made, you and I were both asleep and both unhappy when we woke up. So there's something to say about that. It's a little bit of a joke. I'm obviously not mad about anything. It's not one person's fault or anything in particular. It's just, I do distinctly remember waking up and being like, well, why is that on our team? And they both did not work out very well. Yeah, that one I definitely crashed out at a little bit. There wasn't one particular pick on SV1 that was egregious or anything, but it wasn't ideal anyways.
Yeah. It was just kind of one of those that seemed a little bit clunky. And
yeah. So I think those are going to be much better anyways. Yeah. And you kind of, SB being 4 slots, you definitely need good teams. You definitely need at least 4 pretty reliable teams. So that's just where we're trying to get to if we want to have any chance of a respectable finish.
Yeah. And that's why, as well, I think the 15 transactions definitely kind of comes into our favor a little bit. Is just that having that little bit more flexibility that we can basically nuke 2 entire teams while also having enough spots just for kind of minor adjustments in 5. 4 is kind of debatable whether we will kind of go for stuff like that. But, it's that kind of idea. And then look at Sword and Shield then. I think TDG has plans for the most part. I think it was just.
That's our best tier, or maybe it's it's tied for our best tier right now.
Our best solo.
Those drafts we always felt were strong. Yeah, we always felt those drafts were strong. We've beaten strong players so far in SS with our drafts. We really like pretty much all of our teams, I would say. So I don't expect a lot of movement there, and maybe I still feel confident in that tier.
Yeah, maybe a couple minor adjustments, but nothing too crazy. And then Usum, we've kind of mentioned it briefly that Usum 3. And I think the big thing there is just when you have a Tapu Koko, you kind of need that to be a bit of a bread and butter team. Whereas what we did is we definitely took some risks in terms of that Usum 3, and it's just not paid off, and that's why we haven't even brought it. Which is crazy.
It just didn't have any matchups somehow. So that's not good, obviously. So.
Yeah. You need more consistency out of a Koko team. And yes, this Celesteela team, this is a Trick of Eye Greg special. Which it's just not quite clicked for us. I know Hunter got unlucky with it week 1, and then you could say Ryan got unlucky with it week 3 as well, which I think kind of further
that was an interesting game for sure. And so was the week 1 as well. I think that team's just been miscast where we've had to use it as our reliable number 1. We slot this team when it's not that. It's to be used in specific matchups.
The picky. Matchup fishy type team.
Yeah. And it's not a matchup fish. We've seen it go 5-0 in DPL essentially, but it's not supposed to be your number 1 threatening team, or you shouldn't have to slot it when it doesn't have great matchups.
Yeah.
So not ideal.
And I think our Usum in general has just been a major crux of our issues, because you look at all those games and there's been, I think it just kind of sums up our season really well, that it's just kind of things that have gotten away or things that just haven't quite clicked.
Yeah.
Or it's just getting heavily punished for just one slight miscalculation. And that's the thing when it gets to an event like DCL, is you're just in a position where it is, one wrong step and you're going to pay the price for it. So, and we're learning that the hard way.
We are. And I think we can bounce back because, we've played really good players because we played the 2 best teams essentially, and then we played iPro's team. So, it's going to be tough anyways in our quote unquote weakest tier. So I do have hope because we're going to make the drafts better. Schedule eases up a tiny bit. I mean, I say that and we're playing Aster next week, so not really, but
Yeah, for sure. And then we did kind of mention briefly the Oris. I think the 2 of us have agreed, and I think it's kind of just a general consensus that that's not really on the drafts themselves. Yeah. It's just been cases of, yes, I think both your games were definitely winnable.
Particularly I mean, but I mean, both of the week 2, I was playing very consistently. I think I was playing completely fine, and then I saw an opening where it's 50%. I'm just going to win on the spot. 50%, it's probably going to be impossible to win. And I kind of took that path, which was, I didn't need to do that because I could have, pushed those odds more in my favor before I went for a game.
Yeah.
And then it was still 1-0. I still missed a Draco to lose, so it's that game's obviously a lot of stuff I've looked back on.
You just kind of forced the issue ever so slightly too much. And especially in a tier like Oris, where, especially around when you're dealing with something like Burn, that's such a massive thing that you kind of have to always have in the back of your mind that it just doesn't, it's sometimes not worth it. And I can completely get where you were coming from because you were like, oh, I see this opportunity, I'm going to go for it. But
yeah. Because he was he was chipped. He was about to wake up from sleep. He was mono scald. I hadn't revealed a single thing. So I was like, if I get the one free DD turn, knowing my item, knowing this and that, this looks really great. And then he just kind of scald fished and it worked out. And 2 scalds, that's going to be a 50% chance. So not necessarily a bad line by him. So just tough.
Exactly.
But not optimal for me anyways. Yeah.
Yeah. And then VGC is currently going really well. Sven is having...
for sure. Yeah.
Sven's having a great season.
Yeah, Sven's a stud. He got nommed early. We got really nervous because we knew we wanted him. We convinced him to sign up. And then he gets nommed early and we're like, okay. And people just know about one of our secret weapons. And, he's been everything we wanted him to be.
Yeah.
So,
and to be fair, getting him for the price,
happy with that.
Getting him for the price we did, given the citrus display, definitely was a shrewd pickup by yourselves.
Yeah. And Reedon was really close last week, and Reedon's been great with drafting, with support, stuff like that too. So VGC, I feel really strong in that tier compared to what I hear from other teams too, where they just say VGC's a crapshoot. I don't even know if my player is winning or losing. They're really good at communication. They're really good with their prep and their play. So I don't feel that way at all, honestly, which is probably a good sign.
Yeah, 100%. I think just kind of looking forward for ourselves, that Armory game obviously is very much make or break. I think if you can get
every week is
well, yeah, but if you can get a positive result in Armory and all of a sudden the narrative just kind of starts slightly shifting, it was oh, this is doable.
Yeah,
because
I mean we just need momentum, right? Because everyone's spirits are relatively low at this point. Yeah, we need to play players who want to win and think we still have a chance if we want to have that chance. Obviously, the second we lose or we tie, things can kind of go out the window. We can start having more fun, experimenting, stuff like that. But right now, it's this is really our last chance, even if it's so slim, the odds.
Yeah, you have to go for it though. And I do think the way it falls, you could well be in a position where that's Fox is already locked for playoffs. And with how first seed Curse has treated Zing so nicely over the last couple of years, he might be yeah, maybe I don't want to deal with that. So I think it's just unfortunate that Yoshi's is there in week 7, whereas if you were looking at it and say Yoshi's was week 5.
Sure, yeah. I mean that can make you feel better, but at the same time, it's we get our hurdles out of the way now, something like that. So it goes either way at this point. And Yoshi's, we can't say anything. We are very marginally better than them. So.
Yeah. Oh yeah, the difference is absolutely marginal, but just from a psychological perspective.
Maybe the eye test is different, but the numbers are virtually the same.
Pretty damn similar. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
So,
that's just kind of the way of the land for ourselves right now. And I guess the name of the game is just to cling on to that 1% odds as long as we can.
Yeah, I mean, we push off losing as long as we can, and you never know. It's hard because, like, with World Cup, Panda and I, we never lost, and we were usually winning 6-7 games. So we were kind of always in that dominant position. And then DUI, we were very consistent throughout the season, into playoffs, into tie breaks, things like that. So it's definitely a new feeling, definitely disappointing. We had higher expectations for ourselves, for sure. I think other people did as well. So hopefully we can just right the ship a little bit. And, the odds aren't zero yet, so we're not going to stop putting in the work. Yeah. That's kind of where I'm at anyways.
For sure. I think the one thing you kind of just didn't factor in was the fact that I am fucking cursed when it comes to team tours. And I ruin every good record. And on that note, we'll leave it there.
And you're 1-0.
Shh, don't jinx it. Getting to our first team here that actually has a win, we get to the Battle Subway Surfers. And I am joined by former best draft player in the Eyes of Smogon, Hacker.
Yo.
Wow, that was a really subdued intro, wasn't
it? Absolutely.
What else would you expect? So, I think that tale with yourselves was a bit of a tricky start, and I think that was kind of to be expected given the schedule. But that week 3 win is, I'd say, in your eyes, hopefully like a catalyst for kind of greater things to come. How would you sort of describe that?
I definitely think we had like a tough first half of the schedule for sure. Like Foxes and Armory, if you look at playoffs right now, they're like top teams going into it so far this season. But yeah, being 0-2 is rough either way though. So a win versus you guys was needed if we wanted to keep the season alive, and we did do that. So
yeah, and that was just a big series for both of them. So I think it's a far nicer feeling being the victor of that sort of series, especially in the manner that you get it, because it was yes, the scoreline probably slightly inflates the dominance, quote unquote, but it was still a pretty impressive performance given the starting couple of weeks.
Yeah, it was do or die for both of our teams, basically.
Yeah, pretty much. That's just how those sorts of series go sometimes. And obviously now staring into Yoshi's week 4, where it's kind of do or die, but only one way. As well, if you say you did lose that week 3 series and then going into Yoshi's, where it's okay, one of you is going to be, your season's going to be kaput so by week 4. Would have been dire. And to be fair, you look at your overall records, you're only 11-13 with positive, a positive Sword and Shield, a positive Oris, and a positive VGC. It's just kind of the SV that seems to be letting you down at the minute. And
yeah, I think that's kind of a big part of where our success week 3 came from, because we finally didn't go negative in SV in a week.
I mean, you did go 2-2. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's not that's not the best performance in the world, but it's better than what we were doing.
Out, yeah. It's better than having 3 wins total in the entire tier. Less said about that, the better. I guess just kind of hopping over to these teams now, I think SV, for the most part, like we said, you've one positive SV team, and that definitely helps when you have around 3 Deoxys speed. Unless that was a mid-season pickup, was it? I don't think it was.
We made no changes to our 5.
Yeah, that's what I thought. It was around 3 Deoxys speed definitely helps things. But you look at the rest, we're kind of struggling, and it does seem you did make some wholesale changes to some of these teams. The SV3 kind of is the main one that comes to mind. What was kind of the thought process going into it, where it seemed like you had 4 drafts that weren't quite performing, especially with the 15 transactions, which
so I think
people have seen as quite generous.
Yeah, it's insane amount of teams. Honestly, just so many of their SV transactions is kind of crazy. Yeah, our 3 and 4, they're kind of just our worst worst drafts by far. Our 1 and 2 are negative, but I don't really think that's I don't think that's because the drafts were bad. I think it's more of a skill issue on our part, honestly.
Yeah, and just a comfort thing maybe as well. Just people not quite gelling with the team yet.
Yeah. The main thing with 3 was called our only hazards free mids on that was the Garchomp. It was I'm trying to remember what it was
yeah, because you had
Latios. It was screens and Latios kind of stuff. with like Goldingo.
Yeah.
Yeah, it kind of sucked. Like its hazard game was really bad, but also it's like it's not good offensively and it wasn't good defensively either. Was kind of the issue with that team.
Yeah. No, and I think the Tinkaton pickup
Like
kind of put things together in a nice way. So I think kind of recognizing that was an option you could go for.
yeah, someone dropped in, we went on that immediately because it's way better than Goldingo here.
Yeah, exactly. And like that bottom four, like obviously you kept the Avalugg from the previous team. But I think Mesprit, Quillfish, Blood Moon, like it'll be interesting to see how that does. Mesprit, you're kind of replacing what Latias was doing, but just for less points. And then
Yeah.
Terra Quillfish, I really hope comes at some point, but I know it won't. Like,
right.
I just hope you get like a God Terra matchup for like a Switchwing Quillfish. It would just be really funny. But
right. Yeah. I don't know. I think the team right like 3 as it is right now is a way better backbone than it did beforehand. So I think it can't get worse. Really, I think it can only get better.
Yeah, for sure. And just going back to 2 real quick, like we did talk just prior to recording, just in terms of like Finch and maybe just kind of taking that little bit to get going. And I think that game against Who, yes. Is it one he definitely should have won? Debatable. Not for like hacks or anything, but you know, if you've seen the game, you know the game. But
I mean, if anything, we were the ones getting hacks.
yeah, exactly. So it's like I think kind of Finch getting momentum with the team could definitely go a long way. So that'll kind of make the team look better as well.
Yeah.
Then obviously with Sword and Shield, we have Theo with these 2 very looking Theo drafts, and then an SS3 that's only like half Theo looking.
All right. So we finally got the twin from Addison at mids.
Yes, that definitely makes it look a lot more Theo pilled.
Yeah.
Like, this is just a classic Theo team at this point. So.
It's a classic Theo team. It's like worse than his original teams, but we couldn't get any good trades out of like any actual good ground types. So we couldn't get any people to trade us either Nito or a Crook. So we kind of just had to stick with Stunfisk.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with Stunfisk. Like we all saw the torn win rates in DPL last season. That was solely because people weren't drafting Stunfisk. So it's a necessary evil.
True. Right. I mean, there's a few like other holes with this team that like me and Theo talked about. Like there's no ghost resist, so stuff like Aegislash is really scary. But beyond that, most stuff is like more than playable.
To be fair, do you only have 1 ghost resist across your 3 drafts? Yeah.
Yeah, Amanda Buzz is going crazy.
Sorry, you do have a Weavile, but that doesn't count.
Really. Right.
That's wild. No, because it's funny because these teams kind of reflect the 3 different eras of Theo. Because like you start off with Sandstall, then you go to Torn, Scizor, Clef, Buzzwole, Sableye, and then you kind of get to this slightly more offensive variation, which we've kind of talked about with Theo getting that a little bit more aggressive as he had to, quote unquote, with SV. And I think it's kind of translated here.
Yeah. Like, I mean, it's also a case of like Latix and Swish being like kind of. It's not really dire because they perform fine, but it's kind of tough draft wise. There's not a lot you can actually make work.
Yeah, for sure. Like it's a difficult one to get right. And it was always going to be interesting to see how Theo approached these new tiers after like Addison overhauled them. So
yeah,
kind of went up.
I mean, we finally get to see a Theo team where he has Clefable and it's not like overpriced high hell.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of the main thing. And even Slowking's at like, well, no, Slowking's the same price it usually is, right? I don't remember.
It's like the same price it usually is, yeah.
Yeah. No, because to be fair, I think a lot of your success is going to be riding off of the stable base of Theo and Sword and Shield, and then brings us on nicely to Usum with Sidul. And it's like that was kind of the intention behind your drafting in the first place. So,
yeah, I mean, our Origins are like really stable. Besides, Hyper going 1-2, but I don't know, he can definitely turn around.
Yeah, for sure. Like we all know what he's capable of on a good day.
Yeah, I think our Usum teams are a lot like better now as well, anyways. So I think you should be having a good second half.
Yeah, do you want to kind of break them down real quick in terms of the thought process behind some of the changes? Not that I know them off the top of my head.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, we had our one was originally Rotom Wash over Feeny, and I think Feeny we were able to get a trade. I think Feeny fits the team like a lot better. Yeah, like it gives us a lot of resistances we didn't have otherwise.
Yeah, the Feeny makes
and also Feeny is really just a straight on classic. Yeah. And then our two, we dropped Blastoise, and we dropped some other mon that was like terrible. Let me look real quick. Yeah, we dropped Blastoise and Alolan Muck, and we got Keldeo and Scrafty. Scrafty makes it seem like a lot better into actual like dark types, because otherwise we were kind of but yeah, mainly dark types because
Muck is your knockoff switching, and Muck should not be your knockoff switching. So
yeah, stuff like Weavile was like pretty like difficult for the team to handle, and so it should be a lot better between Keldeo and Scrafty. Also, something we noticed last week with the Sato versus Ryan and Ditto is there's no bug resist on that team, which is kind of scary. So Keldeo like forces the hand a lot more and actually forcing coverage moves.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that was the whole point of bringing that draft, because it's like, holy shit, most of these teams have terrible bug resist, or just insta-lose the Vulcan. So.
Yeah, the downside of like the changes we made to our tours is we lose removal. Yeah. I guess we lose a grounded poison.
Yeah.
But I think it's makes our like backbone also just more sturdy here for him to work with.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Yeah, and then our three, we basically changed like the entire like bottom 5 Pokemon on it because that team was just not good.
Yeah, it didn't look great. And there's now for Alligator, so I'd say Saito was happy.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's a really interesting, because that's a bunch of ones you just don't see in Usum. Like Snorlax, obviously you did see for a time that it kind of Snorlax is one of those months that's kind of cyclical in terms of you'll see it a bunch, then you won't see it, then you'll see it a bunch again, then you won't see it. Clefty, I do like in Usum.
Yeah, literally
Snorlax. Kind of, underappreciated sometimes.
I don't think it actually gets. I'm surprised it doesn't get picked more. It's like good.
Yeah, exactly. It's one of the. It's a steel type that doesn't suck this gen, like, and they're rare.
Yeah.
And then Swampert.
Also, what's called spikes are really nice for the Gallade because you just wear down your checks easier as well.
Exactly, and getting prankster screens for that top 3, and Snorlax, I guess, to a lesser extent as well, just seems like a really good option.
Yeah, and then stuff like Swampert, it's like a double ground's like obviously good in use. It's been good for like forever.
Yeah.
And this team like does need something a bit more sturdy into stuff like Coco and Zera. But while Swampert's not like perfect into that stuff, it forces their hand at least a little bit. So I think it's like good.
Yeah, and in combination with Rotom, it does make life ever so slightly easier. So I get the logic there.
Rotom in 3 points and use him is like the biggest like utility guy ever. This guy does everything.
It does the exact same thing it does in SV. It just doesn't beat every single hazard remover. So.
Yeah, it doesn't beat every hazard removal, but you like beat like the steals and all that stuff that's like annoying otherwise.
Yeah, no, makes sense. Then of course you get to Aurus, which I think, to be fair, Abe so far is definitely had a good season, and it kind of does show that you kind of need that success in the older gens to be able to thrive as a team. I think everyone kind of knew that at auction. I guess just at auction, I might as well ask you. I know so much was kind of said in terms of like, oh, it very much depends how like the top guys gel or whatever. How's that been as an experience? Because it's definitely an interesting
team court is like pretty fun. Like we all get along with each other fine. We're having a good time every day. So yeah.
Yeah, well, that's what you want from tours like this. Like the last thing you want is everything just getting, tempers high and everyone arguing.
Yeah, and that's not happening at all. It's not like we all know. It's not like Sato is like active enough to actually argue with anyone either. Not that he would.
I mean, well, if I speak, I'm in big trouble. Because typically anything I say about Saito goes horribly wrong against me. So let's move quickly on to Aurus.
Yeah,
where
that is the goat though.
Oh yeah, true. And you look at these Aurus teams, and I think it's kind of minor touch-ups to one and a complete overhaul of 3, if I'm correct.
We only changed our 3.
Oh, it was only 3. That was your Aurus 1. Oh,
yeah.
I'm blind. Yeah, because I knew the Aurus.
Yeah, Aurus 1 stays the same, and Aurus 2.
Yeah. No, because to be fair, you definitely did do a series overhaul in this Aurus 3. Kind of what was the thought process behind it? I know you were kind of struggling with round 1 Mega Lop, which is definitely not the first time that's happened.
Yeah, well, Megalop itself is like a really good Pokemon in Aurus, I do think. The issue with it comes around drafting it with it just like a huge pain.
Yeah.
Like I think like the Torrent T Megalop stuff that people can get sometimes is like good, but then you have to like round 1 Torrent.
Which I don't think is a bad thing necessarily, really. But I get what you mean.
Yeah, well, it's more like limited, like 3 options. Like Lob does like mess up like most builds. The issue with like our Lob team as it was is like the bottom 4 just wasn't bringable.
That makes it tricky. Because I think the thing with Lop, especially on those Lop torn structures that you said, is like you need hyper-specific mons to make it back. Like I do genuinely think you need Crocodile, and arguably you need Starmie too, which does make it.
Yeah, well, both did come to us, but the once we got beyond that, it was dire.
Yeah, exactly. It's just kind of finding the right pieces to round that out, and that's not necessarily Roselia, which I think would be most people's answer.
Yeah.
Madam benches a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it'll be interesting to kind of see.
I think our team has like a good. I think that's like a good like backbone for the Zard to actually work well though, because like, we have a Storm, we have a Crobat, so speed's covered and removal's covered.
Yeah.
Like Clefable's obviously just a good defensive back piece for like any team ever.
Yeah, exactly. And the Electros does seem gypsy pilled, which checks out.
Right. old players.
Like if in doubt, just slap the Electros because it's like technically no weaknesses, so it doesn't add to your problems.
Yeah.
Then VGC nulls ticking along nicely as well. Do you know if there's kind of anything there?
I think we changed up our one, but I don't know. VGC, I couldn't like, give anything to you for it.
Yeah, no, that's definitely a theme of this video, and I think people will notice that that is a theme of this video. People of captains just turning around and it's like, yeah, just let the VGC guys be, and that's completely fair.
Yeah, just like the non-logics just like, sit in a corner together. I don't know.
Sit in the corner is crazy. No, but I guess just like I think it's also a thing of with your roster size. Actually, something I wanted to ask about. Obviously, you have 4 players that have not actually been able to hit the field yet, which I think is the
Yeah.
joint most. No, with Armory, I think you both have 4 players that have been. Like, do you think that obviously with the fact that everyone was coming out of auction saying that people were very conservative in terms of budget, which led to roster sizes being a lot more bloated? Do you think that's something that's been of help? Do you think it's potentially of detriment? Or what do you think?
I think it's something that's definitely of help to us. Like my focus, like on auction, was make sure I actually did like have a good bench.
Yeah.
And I do think we accomplished that. Like the John is like active is like all hell. So is Circo and Logice.
Yeah.
And while calling the stories, they're mainly Smogon names, but like they are active and they do help around. Like when you do like tag them or ask them to build mocks or anything, they do that. So
Yeah. No, that's helpful. And to be fair, it's one of those things of obviously you do kind of have those connections, so you are going to draft players like that. Yourself and Hex definitely would have a wider reach than pretty much any other cap in this event when it comes to that side of things. So it'll be interesting to kind of see once they get off the bench, which I imagine they will at some point. And hopefully it's not just a case.
yeah, everyone should be getting a game at some point.
Yeah. And you hope that that's like genuinely playing rather than like a pity game because you're already eliminated. Which
Yeah.
so yeah, I think
No, so we are gonna. The lineup next week is gonna be a lot more. It will be different for sure.
Does that sound like you're doing rotation for Yoshi's? Ooh.
Okay, well, it's not okay. It's not like that. We're not switching our lineup because we're disrespecting them. We just need to make some changes.
Yeah, no, for sure. It's just funnier to run the narrative,
Right.
Pump up them Yoshis because they think that the 6th seed is disrespecting them. Never mind everyone else.
Right.
No, because I guess just kind of you do look at these last 4 weeks. Yoshi's, you are going to want to keep the momentum going. Tacticians, I do think it's a tricky game, but I think the thing with Tacticians,
And I don't think our second half schedule is like pushovers or anything. Like far from it. But I definitely think it's easier than like Fox's and Armory.
Yeah, I think by second half of season standards, you probably have one of the less horrible ones, realistically.
Yeah.
And I think obviously you've no idea what state Alliance are going to be in come week 6. Week 7, Judgment could be on the beach because they know their playoff spot's already wrapped up, and there's no point going for the 1 seed.
They could be on the beach.
Yeah. Well, temporarily on the beach. So we'll say the pool side because it takes a bit quicker.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think realistically it is going to come down to that week 4 series, and once you can build up upon it from there, and if you fix up that SV, I imagine that is more than doable.
Yeah, I don't think our recipe is like bad either because like our negative players are like or like me, Harris, and Finch. I do think we're all better. I do think we were like better than our record to do show there.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think the moral of the story is you just need to fix the fuck up. Show the people what you're capable of, you know. And don't get,
you know. Yeah.
You can't be.
Harris also like. Harris like objectively also should be positive. He's like gotten unlucky, but he also did choke last week, so.
Yeah, the less said about that, the better. We now make it to the 5th seed, being the Mythical Alliance, and I am joined by Kyle, who has made it to this call in one piece.
Yes, sir. I see what you did there. Aha! Because I like One Piece. Aha! Nah, that was fire. What's up, guys?
So I guess just kind of the best place to start is, you're kind of yourselves and fishermen are kind of not fishermen. Fuck, this is the wrong season. Surfers. I decided to flash back 2 years for no reason.
I went back to last year. That's crazy.
2 years ago, even worse. I'm old, but you're sitting in a nice position. One win. One of every result in terms of midseason, and
yes, sir.
Kind of a very mixed bag of a schedule in regards to Yoshi's week 1, Fox's week 2, and then Armory week 3. Is there anything you kind of want to touch on there in terms of those series? What went right, what didn't quite go right?
Looking at the schedule, I mean, Foxes and Armory and the Judgment, that's like godly run if you ever seen one in your life.
Yeah.
Like, let's keep it real here. Going into obviously week 1, we had like a lot of issues like going into the actual games, but then we realized like, once we sat down and just like team build and stuff like that, it was Gucci. Foxes, I would say we probably got fucked up a lot during like the games. We were kind of like, what's what I'm looking for? We was kind of in a mixed bag of like prep. Not a lot of prep got like solidified throughout the week. I'm not going to say too much just in case, we obviously do make it the playoffs and rematch them. But, after going into mids, we changed our draft. So I will look forward to replaying the Foxes again. And Armory, again, a mixed bag. We even tied. So going into that week, we was more active than we were obviously versus Foxes. I think versus Foxes we were kind of like not like completely dead, but the effort was a little bit low. So it's whatever. But Armory though, we definitely stepped up, and then we got what we had to do, and what, we at least tied the game. So or tied the week. I'm sorry. So that's good.
I mean, tied the game. Same
the
difference.
remaining. Yeah, so the remaining of the schedule, I think we could definitely make ourselves playoff bounds if we just keep on pushing and pushing. All of our players are really strong, self-sufficient. We have Jimmy, we have Sean, we have Shadow, we have Dooloo, those are good players. So just having to make sure they have the good prep and going into the games, then we should be Gucci.
Yeah, for sure. Like, you're kind of sitting in one of those positions that it's like you are in a good spot, and especially having played 2 of what I'm kind of quote unquote calling in my head the big 3 right now. Well,
for sure.
2 of the big 4, I think, is probably the fairer way. I think realistically, Judgment week 4, Tacticians week 7.
Especially with Joshka and Blitz playing after mids, Tacticians are definitely going to be a top contender, depending on how the seedings are going into week 7, we got to put in our all for it. So we'll see how it is.
Because realistically, to get a playoff spot, you probably need another 5 points to be safe.
At least we have 3 right now, so like we're kind of chilling. But it's the middle of the season; you can never count anybody out.
Yeah, exactly. And to be fair, like you look at these records across the board, like you're in a healthy enough spot, like you are positive. And a lot of that at the minute is kind of coming from, a relatively like a 500 SV base, and then Usum or SVGC all positive at the minute.
Yep.
It's like it's not a case of you're having a tier that's severely struggling. Things are kind of chugging along nicely, and it's one of those things that can kind of keep going momentum wise going into the back half of the season.
Yes, sir.
So I guess we'll just touch briefly upon these drafts because we might as well, whilst we're here. You look at these SV drafts, and that SV1 is doing incredibly well. There's actually not that many teams that have gone 3-0 like drafts. So
Dougal's a goat. That's why he's cooking with that draft.
I mean, Dougal's just cooking in general, whether that be anything to do, whether that be himself playing or himself predicting other games. Like fucking hell.
Yup. I mean, when you have me, Shadow, and Dougal, this is PTV back at TDT. We are good synergy. We're good synergy. No,
that team was clean, to be fair. So.
Yup. So I'm happy Dougal's doing well with that team. You know, he loves using me out, and then the Thunderous T after being Shadow on pre drafts, it's been put in the most finest of work. So
yeah, and Shadow.
I'm glad about that.
We do all know that.
And Shadow does love his Thundy T, even though he's not maining it. But he loves the main. He
still
loves Thundy.
But yeah, I think realistically, you look at these drafts and they're all in a really good spot, minus that SV4, which is kind of a weird. You're kind of picked up. Yeah, let's go for a secondary Sun team to fix our problems, which will be interesting to see. It does kind of force these into Sun every week.
Well, SV4 is definitely like more hard Sun. SV2 is like pocket Sun. It's pocket Sun. So like not all. Obviously, every time we bring it, we don't have to bring Sun. Most likely will, because like who the fuck is gonna switch in the Bolt in the Sun? That's just a monster. The SV4 previously, it was pretty weird. It had a fucking Amoongus on it, a low kicks, a water pond, ogre pond, wellspring. It was just very like the defensive qualities wasn't there. I feel like every time Sean played with it, he said that he had to use ogre pond as like a defensive mon, even though it's more meant to be offensive. But like you could use his defensive qualities because Ivy Cudgel is a broken move, obviously, as we both know.
Exactly.
So most of the time, you could just run like max defense or whatever, speed creep, whatever you have to speed creep, and just click Ivy Cudgel plus Trailblaze plus Synthesis plus whatever fourth move you could have. But that draft definitely struggled with like a lot of offensive archetypes that we played in the first 3 weeks. Especially versus last week when Sean used it versus L5. The kill deal just ran amok versus us because our fighting resist was not existent. I forgot who did we play week 2 when Sean used it.
Was it bench week 1? Was it?
No, it was used week 1. Sean used it week 1. It was bench week 2. I'm sorry.
Yeah. No, you're good.
I forgot who we used it. Oh, we Massacre versus Terra Zarud. That team also had a flying weakness, so like we definitely had to change it a bit.
Yeah. I love the way that you're not the only team that decided, oh, this team's bad, fuck it, let's grab Sun.
Yeah.
There's a couple teams that did that. And then
I'm gonna keep it a buck though. We did look at Sun like during the actual draft, like before obviously the season started. Like we looked at Sun, but we was like, do we want to hard commit to it? And we was like, at the end of the day, we was like, nah, because Ogre Pons was still there round 3, so we grabbed it. But then we saw how that ended up happening, so we didn't end up.
No, to be fair, like I get the apprehensions people are having about whether because of the fact it's 5 bring 4. I think if it was 5 bring 3 and a flex, people would have been slightly more open to weather-based archetypes because they are that little bit more like coin flippy. Whereas if unique,
I agree,
because you only have that one team that you can bench every week, it does make it a hell of a lot more difficult to justify it.
Yeah,
but desperate.
And then to be fair, there's a lot of there's a lot of mirrors this season too. So like I don't know how many times we're gonna use it because like a lot of other teams have Sun, but you'll see, like you said, it's coin flippy. We have 5 SV drafts. You know what I'm saying? You can't analyze every single week which 5 is going to be the correct 4 to bring versus the other 5. You kind of just have to go over how comfortable you are with these drafts. So
exactly.
Most of my team is obviously comfortable with Sun. We have Sean who used Sun like mad times throughout these tours. Shadow, he can use anything. Yeah, he can use Rain, Sun, whatever the fuck. I can use Sun. I like Sun. So yeah, we're just gonna see how it is.
Yeah, for sure. Also, shout out to Terra Locus getting drafted 3 times and getting dropped 3 times.
Getting dropped 3 times. Did any of them even come? I know ours didn't. Oh no, ours came week 1.
Came to a game, but it did not tear.
Okay. It didn't Terra, and then did he even get a kill? I know it didn't kill versus us.
Oh, I don't think so. Yeah.
Wasted
all that time talking about the fucking Terra Trends video just for it to fall flat in its face. Yeah, good job, guys.
Hey, look, man, that mon's ass.
Yeah, no, it's pretty bad.
I tried to tell my team, I'm like, bro, why do we have a slow kicks? I woke up in the morning, I was like, bro, why do we have a Terra low kicks draft?
I mean, I also woke up to a Terra Garganackle, so like, you're not alone in terms of waking up to weird ass Terra captains.
Oh no, not Terra Guard. Was that Hunter?
It was in fact Hunter.
Of course.
Wait, why does that come?
I'd rather have a Terra Garganackle over Terra low kicks. I ain't gonna lie to you. At least I could body press Soul Cure shit and then like make people prep for Covert Cloak.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
No, to be fair, it is funny how everyone just kind of high-minded, like, this thing might be good as a low-tier Terra captain, and then within 3 weeks, this thing's not good as a low-tier Terra captain.
It's not. It's not good. I don't think that mon should ever be drafted. It should be like 5 points.
Oof.
Terrible.
But yeah, I guess just kind of moving on from SV because there's kind of nothing else really to report. Is there anything of interest you kind of want to talk through here in regards to any of the old gens? I know kind of there is a stable case of, I imagine SS is mostly Hydra, Usum is going to be I and Odin probably going back and forth. Surprised there's a lack of Sharpedo.
Dude, I wish. I tried to get him to get it. He was like, nah, we can't really fit it. Especially with eyes, usually most of the Ultra Sun and Moon drafts. Yeah. We got
and when this thing exists.
Hater. When that Mega King is gone, yo, I love that mon. I've been going crazy. And Mega King is gone, never failed. Yeah. Never failed so far.
I just wanted that Freedom Tour for years at this point. So I'm just happy he finally, is enjoying life again.
Actually, you know what? Fuck the Mega King is gone. That Hoopa though?
That Hoopa.
That Hoopa's been going crazy, man. That's been a savior. Like, Osman, I know it probably hasn't seemed like that way in the 2 games that it came. But like in the mocks though, the way that, they make the people prep, and then the way that, how the mocks went compared to like the actual game, Hoopa's a threat for 9 points. Oh, it's a really good mon.
Like it's only it's only issues you kind of cover well here because you have a ton of good mons that can just run helmet on a consistent basis. So like you punish the U-turns. The only other thing is Pursuit, which then you kind of get positioning into whether that be Zero Aura or Inferno. So like makes sense.
Yeah, 0-4 or Inferno or Mega King. Yeah. So it's just I'm just glad I was driving with it. That's definitely his most favorite draft.
Yeah, shock.
And we just changed up our Ultra Sun and Moon 2, even though it didn't come yet. I think it's definitely more qualified to come now. I think the changes are pretty good. I think the only thing we kind of just sat on was like a flying resist, but thunder resist is okay flying resist though.
Yeah, to be fair, you can tell this is an eye draft because it's like there's Z Zygarde and there's also just a raw Usum Cobalion, which
right. But Cobalion's nice though. Cobalion's nice with it, but when
it doesn't get crit turn 1 when you need hazards up, then yeah, it's great. But...
True.
I'm not bitter. No, not at all.
Oh, I don't know. That sounds like you're bitter, man.
I'm saying nothing. I'm not bitter.
For Sword and Shield, it's mostly just Hydra trying to make him do good. Sorry, not SV. The Swiss 2 is definitely the most favorite of them.
Yeah.
We're working on our Sun and Moon. Sorry, bro, I can't speak today. Holy shit.
You are so fine.
Our Sword and Shield 1. Our Sword and Shield 1 is currently getting fixed on right now, so we'll see how that is. And then our Sword and Shield 3 is I feel like it's fine. I think we just kind of just got out prepped week 2 when we bought it versus Sia. She just got us.
She's fucking everybody though. So.
Yeah, so it's not much to go about that.
Yeah.
As of Oras, I mean, Milkman, he's going crazy. You can't predict Jimmy. You can't predict Jimmy.
No, you cannot.
he just grows up with the prep, and then like we just got to be comfortable because like you can't predict him. He's the milkman for a reason. You can't predict the milkman.
I don't even want to question that logic, but continue. that sounds from experience.
Huh?
Nothing.
Oh, I see you, TJ. Yeah, no, the Oras is pretty much is good. Like I said, you can't deny Jimmy and what he's doing down there. That's his craft down there. Like you see a raw Dragonite Galvantula, they put on Bishop, you're like, okay, Jimmy definitely built this shit.
Yeah. You see Pure Black Jurassic and you're like, yeah, this is Jimmy.
Yeah, matter of fact, we got two Bisharps. I just realized that.
Yeah,
you can definitely tell that was Jimmy. Just just cooking it up. Right? you would think we're back in Oras ladder with the Bisharps and shit.
Yeah. No, but I think just kind of quickly going back to SS there. I know a lot of people have look at those as like your problem is you have 2 Corviknights, which is like probably the most baseline narrative you can ever think of. But
really don't even see the problem.
Looks like it has potential, like probably just a little bit of minor tweaking.
Which one is?
Might be the Corviknight. But at the same time, steel types and
I would think
fucking difficult. So
yeah, I mean, like, what else more can you get from a Corviknight besides like pivot? Like, it's offense for a reason, right? You want to get in the Galarian Dawn, you want to get in the Nidoking, you want to get in the Cinderace, you want to get in Thunders. Like, it's people draft Corviknight just for the reason of U-turn. Like, that's really it.
Pretty much.
And as a resist, each like button. Like, it's people need to stop, hitting on that mom for 11 points. It's good for what it does.
Yeah.
You can have screens on it. You need a man screen.
Yeah. No, I think people kind of turned around it in SV. I think just kind of the narrative's still there, but SS. And then that SS2 is just a very, mid-2020s Switch team. Because like, also looks PZZ pilled, which is kind of surprising.
It does look PZZ pills because of the Lycanroc dust, right?
The Lycanroc dust, but also the early Fox
like, yeah, the early Scrafty. Yo, I forgot we got that shit round 4. That's funny.
I'm pretty sure you got dust because we were gonna get it round 4.
Oh, yeah. See, good thing you did. Yeah, exactly. Good we did. Shout out to Hydra. Shout out to Hydra. That's my girl.
It's fucking gone for some reason now. Like it's ridiculous.
Yo, it's mad bulky. Like, and it has 3 good abilities. The only thing about it is just piss weak. I remember we did a calc 1 week, bro, and then like we calc +1 CC versus something, and then it did like 40%. I was like, dude, you're ass. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, and then I guess just quickly touching on VGC here, it's always a case of let Trace cook. There's a reason that
I can't comment on GG.
Yeah, like Trace is, is someone that you can just rely on in terms of these things. There's a Pikachu and a banana.
Yeah, Trace.
Just let him.
Yeah, Trace and Jeffica. Jeffica's the GOAT. He's been EVing everything for Trace, and then like just last minute look over. I know pre-auction they went hand in hand. Trace wanted us to get him. So, shout out to Jeffica because he's definitely been cooking, in all slots, like mocking in all slots.
Oh, shit.
Making sure our EVs are good, making sure our pace are good. He's like our lookout pretty much. You don't want to go into the game with the, with the wrong ability. Yeah. Exactly. Pretty much that's it. Yeah. So shout out to Jeffica and Trace. They definitely been cooking in VGC, waiting to see if we're doing anything for mids, but all in all, you can't go wrong with our VGC 1. We have Raging Bolt to you, Torn, Tailwind, floral healing with Comfy, is just that's just broken. And then Chien Pao and then our Shifu with Hail support, whatever, I can't really comment on it, but I trust what they're doing.
Yeah, exactly. That's just the thing. You just gotta trust the process sometimes when it comes to VGC guys as a captain. If you're not like
exactly
tier.
Yeah, if I'm not with like Obus or anything like that, or like Plant, it's just I can't comment. I'm trying to get into it though. I've been mocking VGC. I've been cooking myself. I can't even lie, but shout out to Tree.
No, but I guess kind of the last thing to touch on here, obviously one of the biggest topics of conversation going into the auction with yourselves was the decision to draft I when you already had Odin. That was kind of a conversation. So it's like, also, fuck you, Odin, by the way, for multiple different reasons. 1, telling me SSO is garbage, and it's not garbage, and 2, shut the fuck up about my Greninja usage. Although you're right.
Yo. Yo, Odin said that, not me.
I know. I addressed that. It's specifically Odin.
Yo, Odin, get your mans, bro.
Get your mans.
Pre-auction, we kind of decided, me and Odin, we're not like, like the biggest players. Like, we're solid, obviously, you know what I'm saying? But we can't like hold down the fort without like another big guy. Yeah. And that big guy is I. So pre-auction, we was like, okay, it's either gonna be I, Theo, or there was somebody else that we were gonna get. That's besides the point. But we decided on I.
TDG maybe?
Who?
TDG maybe? Although that would kind of be surprising.
Nah.
Because there's no way to drop either. Or Toxic. So just no way.
Nah. But we decided on I because pre-auction, Odin was like, okay, I'm just gonna go more on SV because obviously Odin just came out of the big SV run in Smogon, so I think he made top 8 or something. So he's feeling a little bit more confident on himself in SV. So we got I just for the main point of like, okay, we could just slot I and Ultra Sun and Moon, let him cook or do whatever, and then Odin, me, Sean, Dougal, Shadow, we could all rotate with SV. So. It was more just a case of like, okay, we have multiple flex options between like Odin and going back to Ultra Sun and Moon if he wanted. He could go to SV if he wanted. If he could go to Oras if he wanted, like say something happened to Jimmy or some shit like that, like a week before or something like that. So, I just gave us like more flexibility than like anybody else that we was looking at. So, but I've been cooking in Ultra Sun and Moon. I don't think he wanted to be anywhere else. So, we just let him be down there. Yeah, exactly. It just worked out naturally. He said, I'm just gonna cook in Ultra Sun and Moon, so we gotta let him cook.
Yeah, for sure, 100%. And like Odin, like you said, is definitely kind of in a position with SV at the minute where he does seem a little bit happier than he was, a couple years ago, where I had him in playing SV and could have been playing Usum. But
what was that? DCL1?
DCL1, yeah. And then I gave him Coco Mega Shark, and he went unbeaten again.
Oh yeah, they went unbeaten. Facts. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. I was at the mids.
Yep. Oh, mistakes were made.
Yeah, that was
like the way you thought, I could play SV, and then you didn't draft a Terrorist Bathra, you feckin' idiots. Getting into the teams that are currently occupying playoff spots, we see the Infernal Armory, who currently have 1 win and 2 ties. And, of course, with this being Infernal Armory, that means I'm only joined by one person, who likes to say a certain catchphrase for any DCL-related content. I'll let him do the honors.
And what's that? Hello and welcome, DCL fans? Is that what you're going for?
Yeah. Right, you ruined my fucking...
Hello, it is me.
Yeah.
The King of 5.
Yeah. The man that is like a 20 times bigger channel popularity, but, I got pull.
Yerp.
So much pull in this game, guys. Anyways, so I guess kind of you're in a decent enough spot. 1 win, 2 ties. It's nothing crazy, but you're in a playoff spot, so you can't really complain, can you?
Yeah, we call that undefeated around these parts of the woods.
Exactly. Undefeated by any means necessary.
Yep. So a lot of ties, obviously not fantastic. We started out this most recent week 4-2, and then, our opponents brought it back with some unlucky games on our end, but it is what it is. It's Pokemon at the end of the day, and a tie is still points, I don't mind it too much.
Yeah. And realistically, with this sort of point system, what you just need to be doing is kind of chugging along, getting points where it's better to not lose, is kind of the main thing. Yes, you would like more series wins on the board, but you're kind of coming into
completely revolutionary idea here. Just don't lose.
Yeah, just don't lose.
Really is that simple.
Yeah, I know, right?
I should write that down.
Yeah, write that down somewhere. Stick it in the corner with your Subway Surfers gameplay. That seems like a good idea.
Of course.
But I think kind of the big thing that'll be make or break for you guys will be kind of these next 2 weeks of the 2 teams that on paper look like the whipping boys right now. As like if you can get
some call them the bye weeks. Not me, but some people.
Some people. I have heard that.
If I wanted to be a little bit disrespectful, I could say that.
Yeah.
But
Bit hurtful.
It's all jokes at the end of the day.
I've been there many a time before.
Yeah.
Don't yeah
that. But it's true.
It's so true. I'm one of the most cursed people when it comes to team no teams.
And it's never your fault. It's the crazy thing. Like, I mean that.
Yeah, no, it's not. But victim of circumstance. What can I say?
Yeah.
But you kind of.
So what do you want to talk about for these teams?
Yeah, so I think you look. Your foundation seems to be from a stable place in regards to SV. And then obviously, like, you've Aster and Glop are doing pretty well for themselves. Oris at the minute, like, but the main thing seems to kind of be, you look at these SV teams, bit of a mixed bag, but you do have this SV3 that's chugging along quite nicely, and I imagine is currently being untouched. And then,
yes, of course.
Like, obviously, when you have a base where it's like you can always rely on Glop for Sword and Shield, and you can always rely on Aster for Usum, that it does kind of put you in a good position, especially with a team like yourselves, where it seems like, holy shit, you've about like 9 SV players, which...
Yeah, we do have a lot.
Yeah.
And I can go into why that ended up being the case, because actually in the past I've preferred smaller rosters when possible, but this season it just didn't work out that way, because a lot of these people that, you know, we had on our list of like players we wanted ended up going for a lot less than we thought they would. So we have so much budget left over. Like, for example, Roller K for 3K, he was on my list like since the beginning. I think that guy is super good. Unfortunately, he's 0-2, but it has been really fantastic games from him. And, you know, his opponent's playing well, he's playing well. It's been some great games, and he's got a bit unlucky somewhere. So I don't think 0-2 is quite representative. J Ricky for 7.5K, also 0-2. I mean, I'm starting with the players who have started out a little bit worse, but I still think they've done a pretty decent job. And, you know, I would draft them again for even a higher price if I had the opportunity to. Like, the losses don't represent their skills. And then you look at the people who actually are popping up for us. Zooch 2-0. Week 2 he was busy out of town, but like undefeated for that guy, which is great from our like number 1 SV player on the roster in terms of people we're drafting. We have Robin, who's 2-1 in VGC, which is great because we drafted 3 people for VGC with like a little support system there, because I don't play VGC, Aster doesn't play VGC. We kind of have to, you know, make sure our players are supported. So we have Aragon and Jesse as like the VGC trio, and they're doing a great job. Obviously, winning record. Aster J, the GOAT, 2-1. Myself, 2-1. Glop, 2-1. A lot of like, you know, positive records here, and you put them all together, and you're going to end up with a pretty decent overall result, right? 1 win, 2 ties. Can't be too complaining about that. Obviously, PDK, Batty. These players are like 3K, 3.5K, and you know, they've been pretty decent. Batty and PDK a little bit less active in the server, but once they do get into the actual games, they're playing quite well. And then AM22 for 5K, we thought would be way more expensive. Obviously, 1 and 2 start is a little bit below par for his standards, but he's a great player, and getting that Oras guy allows me to flex into SV a little bit more easily. And if you look at the teams that we drafted, I mean, Terapagos, Lando T, Keldeo, like, this is my bread and butter. I played a whole season of BBR with the same top 3 with a different finish, and I think this version is much better than that other one. So I already have the experience of a whole season with a very similar core. What kind of prep works, what doesn't work, and so that has translated to a 2-1 record with that, which really should have been 3-0. I think I've definitely fumbled week 2 against Harris after a very dominant opening into that game, but it's been really fantastic. And then you look at our SV3, 3-0, all pretty dominant games, mostly piloted by Zooch, and then, you know, Batty week 2. That one has been very fantastic as well. The other SV teams, a little bit on the struggle side. Our SV1 has been pretty decent overall. Our SV2 has also been pretty decent, but we did make some changes to it. I mean, a little bit unlucky in the games, but definitely room for improvement. Is this actually an improvement? We'll see. It's a little bit more on the silly side with Iron Bundle, Lando Eye, Manaphy, Pokemon you don't really see too often, but I think they could work here. The main problem with SV2 is the speed options in that draft pool were completely taken. We had a Sneasler, and Iron Bundle was open, and that's pretty much it, besides like Talonflame, Noivern type mons, which don't count. So it's a little bit kind of like picking up the pieces with stuff that we can find. Then SV5 also saw a little bit of a renovation. That was our Reuniclus team with Ogerpon Wellspring, We made it just a grass ogre pawn, which allows it to fit Terra Cerulege, and then you have like that double like mid-tier Terra combination, and pick up Bronzong for the steel type, Bronzong Crocodile, some like cheaper mons compared to their past gen, but they can still do a decent job at what they do. And obviously Valiant Dragonite is always going to be good. So like that's our SV, if you have any questions about that in particular.
Yeah, no, I think SV in general, like SV2, obviously the cat's still out of the bag in regards to what is the best approach when Terra's Root is your round 1 mon, and that's kind of been a struggle across the board. I think there's kind of only one exception. There's a team of Tacticians, which are just doing quite well at the minute with round 1 Terra's Root, but for the most part it is just an incredibly tricky mon compared to what it was, say, a year ago, where you could just get it with an Iron Valiant, and it was also like 4 points cheaper and could just kind of wreck house. It's interesting that you go back to the teal pawn, especially given that like it seemed like this mon has completely fallen off, as the fact that not only yourselves had the idea. I'm pretty sure this isn't the only teal pawn that's been picked up, so I'm kind of interested to see how that goes. And yeah, aside from that, like, I think your SV, like I said, you have a lot of guys that are kind of capable of playing it, and you have a lot of guys that are able to be pilots, which I think kind of suits for guys like yourself and Aster as captains, who can be quite hands-on when it comes to the building process.
Yeah,
so I
for
think
sure.
that kind of benefits you for sure. And then, like I said, you kind of have your stable base in Sword and Shield Newsom. And then Oris you can always slot into if there's kind of still issues with AM, which I know you would rather not, and that's why you had Aberfort last season, AM this season.
Yeah, so I think it's quite a good idea for me and Aster to pick up a like Oras guy who like has a history of like playing well in Oras, because if they reach their heights like Aberforth did, then cool, I can just slot SV the whole season, and that actually worked out super well. We want to chip off that a lot off of Aberforth's performance, hoping to get a similar thing out of AM22. And honestly, I think we could definitely do that in the second half of the season. Yeah, but if I do have to slot Oras, that's fine. We have plenty of SV guys that are ready to slot in.
Exactly. And I think kind of the main thing you did go back to in terms of the roster size, and I guess I'll ask this question to you. Obviously, I'm filming this out of order, guys, so I don't have a clue if I've asked this question already or if I will ask this question. You'll find out in the final product, I guess. But when it comes to the sheer amount of players, I think it was a very conservative auction in general.
It was, definitely.
Just in terms of this, I haven't actually talked about this on this channel. I think I talked about it on yours. That it was a very conservative auction, and the captains were definitely a lot more cautious in terms of their spending compared to previous events. And I think that has
100%.
led to a lot of bloated, not necessarily even bloated, but just bigger rosters, which I think suits some, doesn't suit others, and I don't quite think we're seeing the full effects of that yet. We probably will as the season keeps going, especially if you have multiple people doing well and then trying to get the right balance of what is my best 8 for a particular week. So you're not the only one.
It's really hard. It's really hard to give everyone playtime, unfortunately. I would love to give playtime to everyone, which is awesome, but we just have too many players for that to be completely realistic in a week-to-week kind of thing.
I mean, you have 2 bye weeks the next 2 weeks. You might as well, I'm not leading you in a particular way.
We're not
play you next week. No, not at all.
No, I don't think we have room to take our feet off the pedal. We have to win big these weeks, because the last 2 weeks are going to be a little bit more challenging. Judgment and Foxes as our last 2 weeks. We definitely want to get a little bit of a padding going into those weeks to ensure playoffs.
You realistically need minimum 3 points out of the next 2 weeks to be in a position where you're in a good spot. Obviously, depending on other results.
Mm-hmm.
So, because realistically, you do look at it, and this is one of those things of, I'll kind of get into it with the later teams. Of the other 3 are probably in a much more stable position, and I think a lot of that is because of schedule. So you look at Fox, you look at Judgment, and you look at Tacticians. Now they have some players back that maybe the teams that are outside of players are looking at yourselves as ooh, maybe this is the one to kind of get at. So you definitely do need to kind of make that statement the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, and I think we could definitely do that. Shouldn't be too much of an issue.
Oof, fight and talk.
Respectfully.
Respectfully. No, even disrespectfully. Whatever.
No, I just think our roster quality is pretty significantly better than our next 2 weeks' opponents.
Yeah, on its day, like, it is a roster that it just has a really high standard. So I get what you mean.
Yeah, and it's like, it's Pokemon at the end of the day. Anyone can beat anyone. But when you have a series of 8 games, it tends to favor the stronger roster more times than not.
Yeah, for sure. Or the more cohesive roster. I think that's also another.
Yeah, either way. Yeah,
which I think you kind of do take the boxes in both. Getting back to these teams from that little tangent, is there anything of particular note you want to highlight here just across any of the old gens?
In the old gens? Okay, so we made a little bit of minor changes to our Sun and Moon teams. Basically, in Usum 1, we had a Raichu over the Vikavolt, and now we have a Vikavolt.
Wow.
Now,
really innovative.
Wow. So basically, this is because we played a Torn T or something. Was it Torn T? I think, or was it? What was it? I think it was a Torn T, and our Raichu didn't even come, which is like, if you have a Raichu, it's for those flying types, and if you're not even bringing it in the flying type matchups, then what are you doing?
Having it? Yeah.
Yeah, so we decided to just go for Vikavolt, something with a little bit more longevity, with Roost, a little bit more bulk, and then obviously agility sets can kind of pop off in some matchups. It's really like whatever. Like this gen, Vikavolt doesn't have webs, so
yeah,
it's just an interesting Pokemon to look at. We'll see if it even matters, because like this top 7 is really powerful. I don't really have any complaints with that. And then in Usum 3, we ended up dropping Xurkitree for Scrafty, and then exchanged our 1 point for an Ampharos to keep up that flying check kind of slot. Basically, this team is 0-0 because our other teams looked a little bit better from a defensive point, right? Our Usum 3 has really fantastic offense. Obviously, Lando T, Mega DNC, Volcarona Weavile, really scary stuff, especially with spike support. But Xurkitree on top, it's like just adding a little bit more that we don't really need, whereas Scrafty can kind of blanket check a whole lot of the meta. So having that more defensive dark type, it does allow this team to be maybe considered to be brought more often. That being said, we're very happy with the other teams as well. So whichever one has best matchups, For Sword and Shield, I don't think we've made any changes quite yet, but
I'm sure Glop will.
I mean,
you know what Glop's like.
Yeah, our Swish one is maybe in development. We don't know. It's a potential trade that's in talks, but we'll have to figure that out. And then Oras, a few minor changes as well. Mainly Oras 1, we had a Heatran and Mega Scizor over the Metagross and Altaria slots. And then the low-tier grass was a Go-Go instead of a Abomasnow.
Yeah.
This team, I mean, we played it for 1 week, and it was a little bit of a rough matchup. But, obviously, our opponent Jimmy G played quite well and was able to pull out the win. So we're like, we looked at the matchups, and Metagross Altaria just seemed to have a little bit of a better matchup spread into the future weeks compared to Heatran Mega Scizor. And, with people dropping Metagross in the midseason, we're like, okay, this kind of opens up this line, because we were considering this in the initial draft, is Metagross Altaria with this top 2. And so we decided to go for that angle for the rest of the season, just because we like the matchup spreads a little bit better.
Yeah, makes sense.
VGC, I have no idea.
Yeah, VGC, that's probably one thing with me asking predominantly captains of maybe we're not quite getting the full VGC insight, but I'm sure someone, if they want to, in the comment section. You have a team with a Skull Villain that's 2-0. That probably puts a smile on your face.
Yeah, notice that. It really does.
And I guess just as you briefly mentioned there in terms of trades, I feel like this has been the heaviest Team Tour season in a long time in regards to trades between rosters of each other. And I think it's just kind of one of those things I'm looking at and thinking about, and I'm not entirely sure why the scope of that has changed. You got any thoughts of that? Because I feel like that's typically you might see 1, maybe 2, and we haven't seen this amount of trades between squads since the days of Roar being drafted in Team Tours.
Throwback, but I don't know. It might just be just by chance. People just are finding trades that work out a little bit more this season. It could be that people are more willing to make changes if something's not working. I don't know.
Yeah, because it's not exactly like we're super restricted on transactions either. Like they are especially in SV.
There's so many transactions. It feels like you have infinite.
Crazy, like.
It's so much. Like, I don't know why we felt the need to have 15 transactions, but here we are.
Yeah, but I kind of get it, just because with 5 SV slots, there's kind of no easy number. Like, because 10 definitely feels like
okay.
12.
I think it should be 12, to be honest. 12? I think it should be 2 per slot.
Yeah, 12 is probably the fairest, but we'll see.
I just said 2 per slot, and then I said 12, which is not 2 per slot, but hey.
Yeah, no, but 10 definitely feels like too little, though. Especially with the fact if you were bringing only 3 teams every week and it had a flex slot, I would understand it. But the fact you're bringing 4 every week, I think 10 slots would have been 10 changes would have been too little. So
it was like you want the ability to like overhaul probably 2 teams.
Yeah,
which is kind of what we've done, right?
I guess that's where the 15s kind of come from.
But are you really gonna trade 8 Pokemon in one and 7 in another? I don't think so. I think you keep the identity of like the top 2, top 3 picks for the most of the time, and then you kind of change around the fillers.
Hey, I'm pretty sure
a little bit more sense.
I'm pretty sure we're using all 15.
I don't blame you.
Like, yeah, our SV is tragic.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think realistically, I think the state of your season really is going to come down to this week 4 and this week 5, because 6 and 7, you don't really want to be going into the like, right, we need minimum 3 points out of it,
must win type stuff. Yeah,
because
I mean, we can beat them. I have no doubt about that, but it's obviously a little bit lower chance to beat them compared to Wishes and Yoshis.
Yeah, just take the opportunities whilst they're there, and I guess we'll kind of see how those couple weeks unfold.
I mean, the week-to-week goal is to win every week. That's not going to change.
Yeah. Don't lose. You just need to stick that in the corner of every single stream from now on. And get Subway Surfers out there, for fuck's sake.
Don't be hating.
I'm not hating too much. I'm only slightly hating.
Yeah.
If you told this team that they'd be 3rd seed and unbeaten going into mid-season, I think they'd probably take your hand off. And Lo, as we talk about the Ancient Tacticians here, I'm sure you're absolutely delighted with your start, especially given the circumstances of 2 of the players that you spent so much budget on just waiting in the wings.
Absolutely. We kind of had, obviously we have a vision of like, we'll try to win every week, but we didn't expect to, we wanted at least 3 points going into mids. Like 3 points, we're kind of satisfied. Going 4, that's amazing. 3rd place, we're sitting at a good spot. I think we're tied for 4th with Armory. Yes. 3rd and 4th is like, we're 3rd because alphabetical order. I'm just happy about it. And we also like have so many players. We got to test a bunch of players before mid, so we kind of know a bit more what the starting lineup should be post mids, because that was one of the things when I think we have such a stacked teams post mids that it's hard to like play everybody to know and to test the players, right? So now that we've tested everybody, we kind of know what the best lineup should be, and we're even sitting in a good position. So hopefully we can try to log playoff before week 7, so we can have a nice break.
Yeah, for sure. Like, you're definitely in a position of strength given your starting schedule, where you have, 2 of the teams that are currently in the top 4 with you right now having been played.
Yeah, pretty much, right? Yeah, because like the only like, I guess like playoffs team that we have left to face is ZFG, right? So then it's like the like the lower teams in the standing. So like we definitely had a stronger pre-mid schedule than post-mids. Yep. So it makes us, it makes post-mids, obviously you don't want to be too confident.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
But it was nice to just get that going. And so the boys, especially Joshua and Blitz, the boys that are going to be coming post-mids, like, if we weren't doing as well, like, they probably wouldn't be as motivated, but like them coming in with like a nice lead, like being in a strong position, it's going to be huge for their motivation, especially in the rest of the team's motivation.
Yeah, 100%. And I think the most interesting thing will be kind of how you spread things around in the lineup, because obviously pre-mids, you have some incredibly high highs and some rather low lows in regards to certain tiers, which could definitely lead to a lot of kind of moving parts.
Yeah, for sure.
Just to see how you navigate. And I think as well with Foxes and week 4, it's one of those of the 2E, I imagine, are definitely going to fancy yourselves in regards to playoff spots at this point. So it's kind of it's a bit of a free hit week in a sense. And like, it's not a week that, say you lose at 5-3, it's not the end of the world, essentially. But if you both get a point, it's also just one of those things of just like, yeah, we'll just handshake and we'll see you again and see you in a month.
Keep it. Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So it's kind of one of those.
Yeah, speaking of the tiers,
yeah. Like, I think.
Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, I think that's the one series in week 4 where it kind of seems like there's a hell of a lot less jeopardy compared to the rest of them.
Yeah. Like, obviously, like a tie would be fine for both of us, right? They're like 3-0. I think they have like pretty easy. They have like the easiest pre-mid schedule, like on team strength. But they still like kind of smashed everybody. So and obviously they're really strong team on paper. So it'll be interesting to see how we do. Just gotta get the guys motivated, and if they are, I think we definitely have a good shot to win this one.
Yeah, 100%. And I know you were just kind of wanting to get into the teams here. I think the main thing to notice with this team in general is like the strength of SV right now, and then obviously the old gens, bit of a mixed bag. Positive in Horus, negative in Usum. Less said about Switch, the better, I think, at the minute. But I think as well with having Jasha back, you do have the option to say put Hab there, which I'd say is something you've definitely kind of explored. Like, you've so many options how to.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what's fun about the team. And
don't leak stuff on this. I'm sure there's some side.
No, I mean, everybody knows Hub and Toxic can both play Wish. And it's just a matter of we were also faced like the 3 strongest Swish players pre-mids, and Dom made a few key mistakes. Like, he didn't play horrible. He just made like some key mistakes at the wrong time. I think our drafts are still fine. But yeah, definitely would have been good to have some SS wins. Usam, I think me and Max have like a good way to like prep in Usam. Like week 2 and 3, we did a good job. I think he just had a brain fart in the calc, which like cost him the game. So we'd be 2-1. So he's not like. I'm pretty confident about VT. VGC Hopeless is like beast. Like he's got like his little army, super impressive prep, good play. Nothing to worry about there.
His little army is crazy.
Dude, you should see like when he joined the server, he's like, I cannot invite this person, but he invites like everybody, dude. We have like sometimes we just have like VGC VGC voice chat voice.
He's leveled up to a different stratosphere now. he's too far clear.
Yeah, no, he's great. And bro, like getting him for like 10K was like such a steal, because he actually hangs out with like the singles people. Like he mocks singles from time to time.
Yeah.
He gives advice for singles as well. Plus, like he doesn't need like help for like any other players for VGC. So it's like, dude, for 10K, I would have paid like 20 for this guy. So like,
it's such a steal. And I think kind of, it's probably been mentioned a couple times in this video already, just in terms of the auction people were quite conservative. So you have so many instances of people being like, I can't believe this was the price I got this player at. What the hell? And obviously with Hopeless, you're kind of in that same bracket that people would see Cookie in regards to like, yes, he's a very good VGC player. Jesse's in this bracket too of like, yes, can definitely play VGC, but like the singles knowledge is also there. Except the thing is, I think, Hopeless obviously, no offense to the two of them, but Hopeless is definitely a level above.
Yeah, I mean,
the man has 10%
in theory, like Hopeless been regarded as probably like the best VGC draft player. So like I guess complete. Maybe there's some players that are better at building, some better at prepping, but like overall, I regard it as the best, I think. Yeah. So you get that plus like this.
Yeah. What week's Worlds again? Because that could be fun.
I think he's playing Cookie. I don't know what team Cookie is on, but like during Worlds, and like they want to like make a real life match. I think they want to rig a real life match. So they're both going to be at Worlds.
That's actually really cool.
yeah, that's super cool, right?
Oh, that's actually.
But maybe he'll be benched, maybe not.
Yeah. No, to be fair, because it's just like you do look at your lineup and there's not really a crazy amount of VGC depth, but like you hopeless.
No, yeah, we're banking on hopeless. But like, yeah, piping off. Yeah. No.
Yeah, just make sure he shows up to all his games on time. But yeah, back to back to SV. Like you definitely are looking at the success. You've the one Zarude draft that isn't negative right now, which helps.
Hell yeah. And it's funny, we hated that draft. Like Hub didn't like using it. It was like a really bulky team. Like this is not the team we had pre-vids.
Yeah.
There was like a Petron, Chris, Cyclizar, Lando. I believe it was like a really fat team with like no resist to like some key typings like water, dark, fire. Like you really like needed Zarude to like take those resistant hits. But like so we faced a lot of like specs, Terra, stab typing, strong mons like Keldeo, Chiyu. Team didn't have a dragon resist favorite, like it had no resist. So like we faced like specs, Terra, dragon, it just smashed everything on the team, right? So it's really hard to like. He kind of had to play offense with this team, or bulky offense when like it wasn't really built for that.
I am interested to see.
So yeah,
I'm interested to see how the Escadrille does though. Raw Escadrille.
Yeah, it's definitely like kind of budget
this season. So.
Yeah, it was definitely a hub. Like, like a lot of guys were like, yeah, hub moments. But like the way we see it is like Excadrill shouldn't really be taking hits defensively, but at least like it kind of like, you know, if you run AV or something, like, you know, you can help you force Raging Bolt to run some stuff, right? Because he can be pretty bulky. He's got like good HP. But it's you mainly want to use it offensively because this team is what's good about this team is like it's so fast. Like you don't need it to run like a scarf. You don't need it to. You have the rocks. You have the spin, so it removes pressure of Cyclizar. Like Cyclizar plus Excadrill, they together they can kind of spin on everybody, right? Because Drill spins on the Rotoms, it spins on Petulant.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's.
To be fair, it is rare to have has removal that beats Rotom. Like none of the good.
Yeah, right.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, and the defensive value of Drill isn't as needed because Alo's kind of like a check everything kind of guy.
Yeah.
So having Alo can let Drill be more offensive, which is like something we want to try out, and it's definitely got to be better than the last thing we had. It was pretty bad.
Yeah. Thanks for the Petron, by the way. Even if we can't fucking figure out that.
Thanks for the Alo, bro.
Oh,
we have all the Alo
teams, so you're welcome. But no, to be fair, like, you know, a lot of these SV teams you just don't need to touch. SV2, you know, very particular, but you know, probably works. SV4 is doing phenomenally well. SV5 looks like a ghosting tour team.
Yeah. So SV2, again, really bulky team. I think that's kind of like a classic hub. Joshua kind of.
Yeah, for sure.
They have like. It's like Roaring Moon plus like Fat plus, you know, I think this team has some flaws, you know, it's Fat. It doesn't have like great revenge killing outside of like Roaring Moon, right? So someone of like the stronger guys, you're going to have to like outbulk. So you're susceptible to hacks. I think this team's only loss was hacks. So like, isn't that bad? I like the Gudra on there. It really like opens up other mons to not be like just a spit F ball for the strong special attackers.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's pretty easy. SV3, which we had a Rotom on there, we didn't like the structure. We felt like it was too like weak. Not weak, but like the defensive structure was kind of lacking. The pivoting was like relied on like Rotom and like it wasn't like taking hits enough. Like all the pressure was on Rotom, and like Rotom couldn't take all that pressure. So we traded. It's not completed. I don't think it fills out all the points. So gonna make some more changes on that. I think SG4 is really strong. I think it's my favorite team. Yeah. I think Aloe Gliscor is a broken defensive core. Jirachi, great support again, adds to like the defensive core of like Aloe Gliscor, gets the encore support, gets rocks, gets U-turn, a bunch of moves. Terrabolt doesn't have to like be defensive, can always be offensive because you have such a great defensive core, plus great pivots. Moon is a just like great Scarfer, a great Revenge Killer, a great Widcon. Breaker, depending on what you're facing. Moth, non-Terra Moth is not like that great, but I think it does have like a decent place on that team for the speed tier. T-Spike Absorption, the strong, can still be a strong breaker in some matchups. And then you have like your hazard removal, dark resistant, like Conk and Avalug.
Yeah, like it's just a super strong team. It's really interesting to hear you specifically, and I imagine a lot of this does kind of come from Hab. Why am I saying Hab? I blame you for that. But it's just one of these things of like, you're talking about defensive structures, which is so unusual to hear in Gen 9. Because people offense, screens go burr, setup spam, Terra here in the game. But, there's such a more kind of calculated approach and kind of like a fatter, bulky offense balance, which does just kind of some of his playstyle and Josh's to an extent. Although I think Josh slightly leans more towards the other stuff we kind of aforementioned, but it's kind of a good marriage there, so we'll see how that goes.
Yeah.
SS obviously is
there's also the part like I always thought like on a draft, and that's a personal me. Like obviously like I'm definitely not regarded as a good drafter. But I like my drafts to have like a flexibility. That's always what I go for. And if there's like, you can have a defensive structure, if you can have like an HO structure, bulky offense, stall, HO, like everything, for me, that's a good team. And I like that this provides that on the team because like you pay what, like 21 points for like just a solid ass defensive structure. But like, what if you just don't have you run like Sage Gliscor with hazards, pivot Aloe, and then 4 setup guys? You can do that too.
Yeah.
Right? Or you can bring like a fat Moon, fat Aloe, fat Gliscor, fat Rachi, fat Moth, fat Conk, and just like fucking wait and like shit. Yeah. So that's what I like a lot about this team. Like, and having like both options really forces your opponent's hand to prep for both, which means they're not going to be as ready for like what you're going to bring because they're going to have to prep for what you're not going to bring. Whereas if your team is purely HO, it's so easy to prep against that.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, just on you saying that you're not a good drafter, Lo, you come from the Trick of Eye school. Of course you're not seen as a good drafter. That's how that works.
Yeah, I mean, when I use my drafts, they work. It's just nobody likes them.
Yeah, exactly.
Screamtail.
It's like, that's
Screamtail. Yeah.
No, but yeah, you look.
But it's okay.
Then you look at SS. It's definitely unusual to see a team being brought 3 times in pre-mids. Like, there's actually not many cases of that across the entire tour. And I think it probably does look a little bit worse because of the fact the team is 0-3 for, reasons we've kind of already gone over, and there's no point rehashing it. So it probably makes... Has that been something that's made SS kind of a little bit more difficult to figure out in regards to changes because of the fact you've only brought the 1 team?
Not really. We weren't like really worried about it. Like, we made a few changes on SS2. Just like made it slightly better, but like we weren't really like worried about the drafts in SS. It was more so like SS3 had like good matchups every week. Every matchup we faced was like a hard matchup for the opponent. It just we had some brain farts here and there.
And if it's the same one every week, it's the same one every week. Like that's just how it kind of falls sometimes.
Yeah, but, we're not. It wasn't a matter of trying them or not. Like, I think we're like pretty confident and what we have. Like, we could just use SS3 every week and we should be fine. Like, we're not too worried about it.
Theory, then, like, but that is kind of the one thing that I do think in regards to just having set slots is just a thing of stuff like this does happen where it's just kind of the one team moving constantly.
Yeah. That's what maybe the group wanted to change the other ones. We're like, okay, maybe this we should change the teams because we're not bringing it. Well, obviously now, like looks like Team 3. They have 4 of the same mods. Right, so it's like, okay, do you bring Coco or Weavile? Do you bring Dragaugi or Guzzlord? Do you bring like Magnezone or Lycan Rock? I don't know, right? It's kind of like
that's how it pans
it's good. It's really strong. Yeah, it's really strong structure. So
like Usum, we've mentioned briefly, like that Usum 3 is something, but like it seems to be something that Max is enjoying. So that's it. Looks like it does look like a U team. So.
Well, to be fair, me and Max, the way we do is like I build him a team during the week, then he tries it out, and then he changes like a few things to like his own liking, right? And I've actually enjoyed building. I think Usum 2 should be 1-0. He just like kind of brain farted.
Yeah, that is
the team is just like full on HO, right? And there's really not much defense there, which is fine. You just HO your way out. But it's good HO. Like I think Tauros is like a nice cheap offensive Monscon tank and have like great offensive matchups. Pursuit Trap, and then Zera Mew are kind of like just crazy Z-Mons. Really strong Z-Mons. Usum 3, the team you probably wanted to talk about. I don't think it's the bad team.
It's not.
It's just a weird team.
It's like
because you have deep value. Right, you have like strong mons, right? Like Stila, Ladi, Fini, always strong mons. Spiritom's a classic, right? But then it comes down to like, okay, why do you have the Hippowdon? Everybody hates Hippowdon. But the reason we got it's not because Hippo's good. It's because Hippo's cheap. 7 points? Like, yeah, why not? You're gonna force prep, be a rocker, whirlwind, sand. Sand ship is nice for like the Stila. Is nice to if you want to form a sand team, and then. That's what we went with, and we're like, okay, let's just get like a sand abuser in Excadrill, and then while we have like such good removal, let's just get a Mega Pinsir. And then Magnezone was just like a nice like it came in like super clutch week 2, I think, versus you guys, where like it was a barrier versus the Mega Mawai. Yeah, barrier Rocky Helmet, which is like what's nice about Mag is you can like completely like if there's a Skarmory, well your Pinsir, it's not going to be a Rocky Helmet for your Pinsir or your Drill or whatever. Right? It's going to have to be Shed Shell. If there's a Celesteela, it's going to have to be Shed Shell. Right? If there's a Kartana, right, it really forces prep. And if it's not Shed Shell, it just gets trapped. And then you can always run, like, you don't have to run Magnet Pole. But this also, if it's a Steel Mega, then it's just screwed. Like, especially Mega Maw. This team has a really good matchup into Mega Maw. Mega Maw cannot do anything, right?
Yeah. That's kind of what we...
I think it was I think Hippo was shown to be like eject button plus like Rocky Helmet Mag, so like he never focus punch, and then you got it for free.
Yeah. And I think this team is kind of a perfect example. It's probably the best case example of you have 3 drafts, but you only need to bring one every week. So let's try something that is a little bit different, and then that's something a little bit different just kind of seems to be right place, right time to a certain extent.
Yeah.
Because yes, it definitely is on the clunkier side, but it is one of those things of like, it's 1-on-1. I imagine it'll come again post mids, but like the other team you might think look more consistent on paper, but like that can still cause problems.
Yeah, but the main issue with this team honestly is just the speed. Everything else was really fine. The speed is a lot of Mega Pinsir and then Drill Understand. Like it's a very slow team. So breakers like Thorn are like really strong. Like strong breakers are always going to be annoying.
Yeah, that's
you can get the Z moves are always going to be tough versus that team because usually you're not going to be able to outspeed the Z guy. But like aside from that, like I think it has like a solid structure, and like every mon is bringable, and I think we got value. We just went a different way, like getting value in Hippo or like Magnezone and Pinsir. Because like they're all like strong threats if you don't prep for them, or like strong mons, but they're like super easy to prep for. Yeah. But at least like you force the prep.
Because people would look at stuff like Roselia or like typical BS, but you try something different.
Yeah, I think like those mods I think like are like way overpriced because like they get picked up on like Roselia is like what 6 points. I'm like nah, no way. Like Roselia is always gonna do its job, but like it's so like it's so like linear. And then we also we haven't used someone, but we made some trades. It was we really didn't like it, so we made some trades. It's kind of kind of weird, but we wanted to try Mega Guard. Went from 19 points to 10 from Oras to Usam.
Yeah, it looks like a U team just from Oras.
Yeah. I know. Mega Guard, Zygarde, Skarmory.
Yeah.
There you go.
Exactly.
Yeah, just trying stuff out. I think Yeah, it has a bunch. It has a few holes, right? Like Infernape kind of 6-0s that team, but yeah. Then I think you wanted to look at Oras a little bit too.
Yeah, it's I think that's a perfect segue of us talking about Oras. It's weird to see your team having a Mega Guarded board that's just sat on the bench for multiple weeks. But
it's a weird team. Again, it was one of the teams that we.
I think that's the thing.
Wanted to try stuff out.
I think that's the thing with the Mega Guard teams in general. Is I think the way that all the Oras pools went, I think the big thing was Thundy didn't make it back to any Mega Guard team. So all of
Thundy,
a lot of teams that were a lot of teams in Mega Guard needing to try things different. And none of them are quite working yet. We'll see how post-mids goes, but that's just kind of the.
I really want to use this one. I think this one has really good potential. I think Volcarona, if you have the right matchup, it's just gonna destroy.
Yeah, for sure.
If you manage to stop rocks, it bones every team, right?
Yeah.
The stats, the setup. Yeah, it's very matchup fishy, right? But it's 9 points. So do you really care that much if it has a good matchup? No, right?
Yeah.
Because and I think this team's top 5 is so rock solid. I don't. There's not really a reason. It was just personal preference that we didn't use, and we had Toxic and Mara yet. Mara tried 2 and 3, and Toxic tried 3. I don't think it was nothing but against one. It's just I think we faced a bunch of Metagrossers, Jirachis. We faced all of them. So
anti Mega Guard stuff. No, because you do 2 and 3. 2 is kind of an interesting, the year is 2017 Oris type draft, but also has a Midnight and a D-Knight. That's not on.
Yeah, D-Knight. Yeah, we
in you. But
I was. No, it's so interesting. There was 3 D-Knights. He never gets drafted in Oras, and this season all of them get drafted.
Yeah. No, I think the reduction to 10 points is actually done a lot. Is done a serious favor.
Yeah,
but
I mean, when you have those stats, this move pool, and there's no way you can be bad. You just need on a team that has things to support it, right? Especially good removal. I think good breakers. I think D-Knight kind of struggles at breaking because your only stat is dragon, and there's a lot of fat fairies and fat steals this gen.
Yeah.
So you want good breaking alongside it.
Which
I think Infernape.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean this team 2. I think Clef I think is a really good breaker. I think he's better breaker than Fat Guy.
For sure. Yeah. Underrated.
See, Clef destroys. Right? Clef destroys balance. D-Knight destroys offense. So does Megalop. So you kind of have that going, and it's kind of the same for OS too. Mega Arrow are really good against offense. Against offense. So is D-Knight, but then you have Mew is really good against balance. Ape is really good against balance. So you kind of have that. We really like the Team 3 is one of our favorites.
Yeah, no, that Team 3 is really nice. I do have to say, it just kind of covers a lot of bases. And obviously, it's definitely variation on the Mew and Fernape Crocodile insert Mega here combo, where it started with Altaria and went to Blastoise because people got sick of drafting bad removal. But it's
basically right.
Yeah, that's pretty much what happened. It's a variation. On
we just want to try different factors and go for what the value was, and honestly, we didn't make any changes to our last drafts. I don't think we're gonna do.
Yeah, I don't.
So we're really satisfied about it. Yeah, I think that there's a your best draft.
Especially with the fact that you're gonna have more options there as well. I don't know. Obviously, we'll kind of see in terms of will Blitz kind of start slotting down here now that he's freed and beginning his aura farming session part 4 at this point. But
yeah, he's definitely gonna see some RS. I don't know when, but he should see.
I imagine he would at some point, yeah. But
yeah, we have a few guys. So it really depends on what week.
Because I think
we want to do it.
Year teams in particular is they're definitely examples of taking calculated risks in old gens because of the fact that you felt that there was kind of gaps there that were exploitable. And some of them you've seen, some of them you haven't. Like obviously we'll kind of see with the SS, like the Double Dragon Feeny, you know, when that kind of shows up, that's kind of your best example in that tier. And you kind of backed it up with more consistent drafts that people also have to respect as well. That's why, you know, you see the SS3, you see the ORS3. Usum 2 kind of falls into that category as well.
Yeah.
I think it makes a hell of a lot of sense, especially in a system where it is, you know, C3 bring one. That
so it's like I think Usum and ORAS, like we can take. Obviously, I was like more in control of the drafting for those tiers than like SS and SV, so that's why like they're kind of like a bit more out there. There's also that I'm gonna build, you know, a lot for players in those tiers. So if I'm the one building with them, I think I can give them like a good path. I'm not worried about them, right? Because like I know like I could use all those teams. It's not me, but it's like I don't know if they're gonna like it, right? Because this is like some of them are like my style.
Yeah, for sure. Your style can be quite specific, which doesn't quite gel with everybody. And
exactly.
I think it's fair that I'm the one that's saying that because, you know, in terms of modern players, I probably know you more than most. So
yeah. I mean, I was been like that, right? That's how I think like I first got on the. I was smashing
2017 for fuck's sake. So.
Yeah, I think the first time I came in, it was like I used like a Mega DNC Scyther Kirim in Usum, and I was smashing people with it.
Yep.
So that's what got me on the
The youths of today don't know about Scyther Gate. That's.
Yeah, it was like I had like a boner for this guy.
Yeah, no, definitely will need to do that at some point. I might just get a bunch of boomers and it's like, right, here's the things you need to know about Zoomer kids. It's like, no, but just to kind of tie it back into this, I think you're definitely in a really healthy position, especially with Don and Joshua coming in, and I think, you know, that week 4 series, it's a little bit of a free hit, just kind of figure things out, and then just try, you know, 5, 6, and 7, make sure you have the momentum, and kind of see where that takes you. And we'll see how it unfolds.
Yeah, shouldn't be too. Honestly, shouldn't not too worried about like. So it's most likely gonna be had a good playoff performance, not really making the playoffs. So we'll see where that leads us.
We now make it to our second seed here, with 2 wins and 1 tie on the board and sitting awfully pretty. The Judgment Day. Speaking of awfully pretty, I am joined by Addison. Once again, how are you doing? That was good.
Yeah, I'm all right. Team's looking strong, so happy about that.
That's an understatement of the century. Like, must be nice having your Usum and your Auras completely unbeaten, and SV in an incredibly major position of power.
Yeah, I mean, I think like we are doing quite well. I don't want to jinx anything or make some kind of claim that I'm going to look back on, you know, if we don't do it by the end of the season and be like, oh, I got too cocky or too overconfident. Like, I think lessons learned from particularly my last DPL season is it's not over till it's over, or it's not there till it's there, I suppose, is the inverse of it, right? So I'm not gonna celebrate yet. Job's not done.
100%. It's only halftime. But to be fair, like, you just kind of look here at the schedule. Those first 2 weeks, yes, you did play what is now kind of seemed to be the bottom 2 teams, but they were incredibly dominant wins. Like, Make-A-Wish at the start of the season could have been definitely an awkward series. You blew that out of the water inside 6 games. And then Yoshi's, you just absolutely pile drive them, essentially. Yes.
Yeah, and I think like going through the weeks, like the Wishes week, I think was going to be really like defining week, a week that's really going to define our season. Like if we weren't able to win that week, I think I would have seen us struggling to make that playoff position. But once I saw us winning in a way that we did, and I lost that week, I was one of those 2 losses. You know, it made me feel really confident about some of the folks we drafted and those around on the team. Then sort of same thing happened with Yoshi's. Tacticians was a bit different because we not only benched some of our stronger players to try and get everyone a shot to play, but it was also just a very bizarre series, probably one of the strangest series that I've ever had in my draft league tournament career. So I'm not I'm not thinking about it too much. Like I said, it's not really over till it's over, and it's a marathon, not a sprint. So just kind of, we got 5 out of 6 points in the first bit, and I think we need about maybe 3 or 4 more. We have 4 weeks to do that, so I'm confident that we're able to make it happen.
And to be fair, a tie against Tacticians isn't exactly a bad series whatsoever as an outcome. Like, yes, you might.
Yeah, I don't really care about the result. Like, again, like I said, it's a marathon, not a sprint. The result doesn't really faze me. It was a really bizarre series, so I'm not really thinking about it that much. I'll care about them when we play them in playoffs.
Oof. Well, I imagine that's you're not the only one thinking that.
Well, I think on paper there's a defined top 4 now from the results, and that's not me saying, oh, these are the best 4 teams or anything, because I think any team can beat anything on any given day. But obviously you gotta look towards who you think you might be most likely playing in playoffs.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I think it's one of those situations where, like, for me, I think it's slightly differently. Like, yes, there's a top 4, but I think one of them is slightly more vulnerable than the other 3. And obviously that kind of depends on how it kind of plays out with the bottom 4. There's some very crucial series in week 4, including yourselves against Alliance, who Alliance could very well end up in a position where they need the points.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, if we lose to Alliance next week, for example, that changes the game completely. So that's okay. We're second seed. That's really great, but it doesn't really mean much to me right now. Gotta wait till the actual season's done. Take a look at the board after that.
Yeah. And as we kind of briefly mentioned, definitely in a position of strength across a variety of tiers. Positive and Swish, and beating Anusum and Oris. You look at these SV records here; they're also looking very strong. And every single team is getting usage, which I think is kind of it's getting usage and also getting wins, which I think you're one of the very few teams that have actually done that across SV. And then VGC.
I think VGC's VGC's fine
VGC
too.
is
I think
a minor blemish, but VGC is always fixable.
I mean, yeah. I think one of the big changes I made in my captioning style this time around was to give the players a little bit more lenience in the drafting stage, where I tend to be a little strict and just say, no, this is bad, this is good. And I was still doing some of that in some places, but at the end of the day, I realized that a lot of the players that we have on the team are going to thrive if they're using things that excite them. So your dunk, obviously, using this mouse hold is really motivating to him. And then a lot of our members were really, really keen on the Great Tusk Iron Treads combination, right? Which most people kind of laughed at, but it's 2 in 1. And we had a different player using that team every week, so it was okay, we all get a shot, and that really excited people. I gave Agency a lot of control over 5, which was nice, and I gave Lax a lot of control over 1. A lot of these teams have changed because of mids, and I like the starting point of building motivation by people putting things on teams that excite them, and then we can make corrections at mids, because I felt a little bit better about it because I saw that we have 15 transactions in SV, which is an insane number. So I was sort of like, okay, if literally 2 of these drafts go horrifically wrong and we need to completely upend them, that's fine, we can do that. So yeah, SV's been fine. I think it came a little bit from that lesson of give people a little bit more excitement in terms of what they want to use, and we've carried that into mids a little bit as well. For me, in Sword and Shield, I think I came in trying to sort of look at the board and say, okay, what hasn't been drafted at all? And and I want to like build teams around them. So I built one team around Dracozolt. I built one team around Doug Trio, and I built another team around like Porygon Z, actually. Not necessarily around those things necessarily, but keeping in mind that those were, low tiers I was interested in trying. And, the first two were fails, and that's okay. But the third one has actually been a big success, and I can always adjust the other two as well as I go along.
For sure, which you have been doing, hence why Sand has quickly disappeared.
Yep, Sand is gone, so that, is completely different. With Usam and Oris, it's kind of just been a case of, Ryan and Jake, who are very close, and I think they've met each other in person before, and have a long history together and know how to work together. So it's been really nice to just see them both thrive and really bounce off of each other. So while obviously you see us slotting Jake and Usam every week and Ryan Oris every week, maybe it'll change a week or two, but both players have deep involvement in each other's games, if that makes sense. So Rye's obviously incredibly focused on helping Jake win Usam, and Jake is incredibly focused on helping Rye win Oris, and that duo has been incredibly strong for us. And then VGC, oh, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, I think having that base of Rye and Jake, the two of which are also interchangeable, so like they both have very extensive knowledge in each other's tiers in this hypothetical, and it kind of allows for more of the resources to be focused on SV, where like yes, you do have an awful lot of talented guys as well, but I think just having
the issue we've had for SV is just that we have so many players, and obviously the support and the expertise is so nice, but I mean, as you can see, like we've only played certain players in SV, maybe only once or only twice, in the pre-mids section of the tournament, and these are players that you might see, be starting every week in other tournaments. So I think it just says a lot about the strength of the team, which is nice.
Yeah, for sure. Anyways, you were saying about VGC.
Yeah, VGC has been fine. At the end of the day, I think we are the only team, actually, who drafted 2 min bids for our VGC. And that was, a tactical investment. That was a tactical investment on our part to really have that strong singles base. But it was also me having a sense of confidence in Esther and Code to, have a, if they finish this season 4-3, I'm stoked. If they finish the season 3 and 4, I'm fine. So, at the end of the day, like as long as they can get wins when it matters, I'm completely happy about it. And we're 1 and 2 across VGC, and we were doing a lot of experimenting with teams as well. Like VGC 1, which has our win, I think is a pretty standard team, but the other ones kind of had some weird bonds on them before we made some trades. We tried them and it didn't work out, but that's okay. So hopefully, heading into the post mids, we'll be a little bit more set and away with the more experimentation, more towards what we've now decided what works. But also in VGC, like bear in mind, like we faced, in my opinion, probably 2 of the strongest players in the tournament in Hopeless and Sven. So that'll be interesting to see. I mean, I think Trace will be the big one next week, and then we'll see, how things go from there. But at the end of the day, VGC's job is just get a couple wins when it matters. I have enough faith in our quality of singles players that we should be going at least, 4-3 in singles every week, and I think that's been the case every week so far. So it's just a question of if VGC can put us over the bump or not, and that's not going to matter a ton until playoffs, if that makes sense. Like, obviously it matters, right? But like we're in a winning position, so if we tie out the rest of the series, like we'll be fine. So that being said, hopefully we don't. Hopefully they win a couple weeks and then push us over the edge to get to that 5-3 or that 6-2. That'd be really nice.
Yeah, and that's ultimately what it comes down to, is like you have tiers that are definitely overwhelmingly positive at the minute, to the point where you do just kind of need other chug along. Which like VGC is kind of in the
Well,
main phase now.
I think VGC is on paper our weakest tier.
Yeah.
Like I think every other tier was positive, besides VGC, and 1 and 2 is.
It's not bad.
It could be neutral after next week. So
yeah, exactly.
I'm not too stressed. And again, I have a lot of faith in Code and Esther. Like Esther is really incredible support, and Code has been honestly teaching me a lot about VGC, which is quite nice. So neither of them, I guess the reason I say it is because I don't think either of them are worth 3K. I think they're worth more than that. So, while they might not be standout VGC people, they're worth more than we paid for them, which is all that matters now.
And to be fair, it's always nice as a captain to be learning VGC along the way. And if playoffs is secured by week 7, sure. Are we going to see an Addison VGC cameo?
That little VGC.
I mean, PZZ is right there for Swish, so the door's open.
We have a lot of Switch potential players that people don't realize. Like Agency, I think just made top 4 in Swish Cup today. So
did indeed.
We could see him slotting into Swish. I think Yurdunk has beaten me in our first mock every single week, so I'm kind of impressed with his Swish abilities. And I think Bobbert as well has done really well in I think GG Inc., which has a Swish element to it. So especially compared to past team tours I've been in, I've really felt like I have people who are a little bit more Swish conscious, so to say. Jake as well. Like Jake played obviously some Swish during early DPL games. So I really feel like we have a lot of intergenerational knowledge, if that makes sense. Like PCZ knows pretty much every gen. Lucas knows, pretty much both 8 and 9 quite well. Bobbert is a really great support for Usum as well as SV. So we really have like legs across every single tier, which is nice.
Yeah, especially when that's something that seems so difficult to find at the minute, because obviously you see so many players that are Gen 9 focused and can sometimes only be Gen 9 focused, or that'll end up being specialists in one particular tier. So I think kind of finding that all-round knowledge is something that's important. I think that's something you guys have done. Like, it was why you were getting so much praise following the auction, and I think it's just one of those things that has absolutely kept going as we kind of expected in these first 3 weeks. And I guess we'll kind of see.
Like the main criticism I was hearing of the team post auction was that we drafted a lot of players who aren't particularly, I guess, known for their activity on teams. I think that was the main criticism that I heard. But we've had great activity, honestly. I think this is probably the most active team I've been on since Cabal last season in DCL. So it's been really nice that I don't feel like I have to come on guys, like let's get this, let's make this team build. Let's let's do some mocks. Like I'll wake up on Tuesday morning and it's already happening. So it's a relieving feeling I haven't felt in some time.
Yeah, especially as a captain, that's what you want. You don't want to have to feel like you are the driving force for people to actually get up off their arses and be motivated. Like the fact there's a natural motivation there just makes it a lot easier for yourself and for Rye, I imagine. So
yeah, I mean it's especially nice, I think, for Rye as well. I'll always be a bit neurotic, but I think for Rye especially, obviously he helps in everywhere except BGC. But he really, on Skrelpers and DPL, for example, he really had to step up and hyper fixate and make sure people were focused in SV and even me in Sword and Shield. Whereas here, there's so much self-sufficiency that he can really just focus on himself and Jake. And I think that's what's really allowed both of them to thrive so far this season.
100%. I think the basic moral of the story is that there's a solid foundation already here. It's a phenomenal start, and let's just see how these remaining 4 weeks go.
We'll see how it goes. Hopefully it's a fun one. I'm just here to have fun.
Last, and most certainly not least, we get to Zero Fox Given. And if anyone has paid any sort of attention to these events, it shouldn't be any surprise that the Zing team is on top. I'm joined by Kakrik to kind of figure out why are they so good, and will they break the Zing curse of skill diff the regular season and then still lose in the finals?
God, don't remind me.
You signed up for this.
Hi, everyone. Oh man,
Yeah.
hoping for a different ending this time though. Praying for a different ending. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I'm stunned that man can take it as often as he does. Like, you look at this start of the season for yourselves, like three wins, only 7 losses of individual games, which, seeing as your own 3 in VGC, is incredibly impressive. You just kind of look at these opening 3 weeks here. It's like, yes, you look at the schedule, and that is the teams that are 5th, 6th, and 8th respectively, but it's still an incredibly strong and dominant position to be in.
No, I definitely can't complain about this side of the season. It's pretty much gone as well as it could have gone. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I mean, like pretty much everything has gone right except for VGC. Like if you look at our records, literally everyone is positive, except for our VGC guy. I mean, which it happens.
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure. Like, and the VGC pool this year has definitely been quite tricky. So. And you are in the position where you're kind of your old gens and your SV is so strong at the minute that it's not even a massive deal.
Yeah, no, for sure. But hopefully we can rebound as the season goes on as well. When we start playing the stronger teams, we're gonna need the VGC wins, I think, as well.
Yeah, for sure. Because you look at these next 2 weeks, and they are kind of decisive weeks. Which, yes, you don't need series wins out of them, but Tacticians in the position that they're in, and now they're getting Blitz and Joshua back, and then into Judgment, like they are. And even week 7, Armory, where you might have still playoffs on the line. This stuff doesn't go right.
Yeah, there's a very big, especially the next 2 weeks are very big weeks. I think, I mean, regardless of result in those weeks, we are probably, as long as we don't massively troll, we are probably good for playoffs at this stage. I mean, we've got 6 points and our defense is very good.
8, realistically. Maybe even 1.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so I mean, outside of like, unless we genuinely just crash out, we should be fine. But regardless, it's a good barometer test for us. I mean, we can really see, like, after these 2 weeks, we have a good idea of like who really is like the best, teams in the league. Yeah, that's right. Like, I mean, the Tacticians are definitely up there as well. Like, I know they're third, but being able to tie with Judgment Day before they get their mids guys is very impressive. I think it really shows that they are a genuine threat. Yeah, I mean, I didn't expect them to get 4 points pre-mids, and I thought they would still make playoffs. So it's a very strong start from them.
No, to be fair, that series we lost against them was definitely a kick in the teeth for ourselves. But
for sure. Yeah, no, that is tough. It's probably also the danger week for them as well, because that's the week that they get all their guys is usually when everyone's most motivated and stuff. So that'll definitely be interesting, and hopefully we can put up a good performance.
I kind of said that in the low when I was talking to Low, that it's one of these of, I don't think a draw is a bad result for either team.
No, yeah,
I think at that point the two of you kind of take the point. They keep going with their momentum and having Blitz and Joshua back, whereas with yourselves, it's 1 point closer. You kind of just go into that judgment series and see what happens.
Yeah, for sure. Like, yeah, they're both good teams, right? I obviously want to win, but a tie is probably also like a win would make me feel better anyway about the end of the season.
No, but if you tie it, it means they're less likely to get first seed. We all know how it goes when Zing gets first seed. So.
Hey, but there's no first seed curse in DCL. It's gone since season 1, so no issues there.
That is true. Second seed didn't work.
You're talking to the person who has the most first seeds in DP. I think I still do. I'm not sure if I do it. I don't know. Back when
no way.
No, I still do. Yeah. And none of those seasons were wins, right? So, but
at least you haven't had a point where half of your DPL seasons you went winless.
That is true. That's true. It could always be worse, right?
It could always be worse.
Could always be worse.
Yeah. I think it's just kind of diving into these teams here very quickly. SV has been definitely a position of strength, like being at the point you're at, 9-3 overall. With this Iron Valiant draft, it's an interesting one. It's doing incredibly well for itself. It does also show why I hate the Iron Crown and Iron Mods prices at the minute, because I just think those two things are becoming really just splashable on everything.
Yeah, I think I've used this team 2 out of the 3 weeks. And it's a fun team. It's a fun team to use. Like uh, there are some matchups where you lack offensive switch-ins, but you just have so much power, and you just stack boosters like so well that you generally should be able to out offense most matchups. It's a fun team to use. I honestly, as a whole, like I'm not sure if we've addressed this in the other interviews, but it is quite funny that if you look at the Miz transactions, there's a lot of teams who just copied us, copied our drafts, which is very funny because I honestly thought that we had
we haven't talked about that to a crazy amount of detail because this is the only interview that I've done where the mid-season transactions were actually closed.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so
interesting.
It hasn't come up a crazy amount, but you are 100% right. There's been so much copying, and so many interesting
really
trades as well, which is so interesting.
Which is really funny as well because I really did think that pre-mids we had some of the worst SV drafts in the pool. Like I don't think our drafts are the reason why we were winning. I think we just have a very stacked SV roster, and that's why we. Yeah, I think our drafts actually improved a lot over mids. Like we managed to get Darkrai and Lando T on the SV tree draft.
Yeah.
From you guys actually, and we managed to get Cinderace on and Elemental on SV5, which that team was unusable before, and now it actually looks decent, right?
Yeah.
So
I was gonna say that just in terms of it's incredibly unusual to see with the 5 SV slots that you brought the same 4 every week. But I'd say having on that team now definitely makes it a lot more appealing.
It's interesting, right? The bottom 4 picks in SV are just at such a big disadvantage. Pre-mids probably we were always bringing the Val Tusk and Torn teams, and the Bolt team was just. I would say both the Bolt and the Zar teams weren't great.
Yeah.
But just because it's just very hard to draft around these sort of guys, you kind of have to get lucky. Which we kind of got lucky in mids, being able to trade some of our guys for better pieces.
I mean, it makes a lot of sense. We definitely did just kind of get a bit desperate. Is probably the right term in terms of we wanted the Roaring Moon just because we kind of felt the weather was something we should have in the back pocket because it looked strong going into the back end of our season. So he definitely benefited from that, being able to get Darkrai and Lando T. And
for sure.
And we all know
it also did show that sorry, go on.
No, but it's another case of a Raging Bolt team captained by Zing that ends up broken at mids. Although this
is true.
It's true. Last time it got the Raging Bolt. So
Yeah. No, I did. I remember this team was I wouldn't say it was okay. I think bad is a bit of a over exaggeration. Pre-mids. I think it's a very awkward team to use pre-mids because we only had one rocker and Screamtail. We had such explosive power with Ursaluna Bolt, Ninetales. Ninetales had such good offensive matchups. We bought Specs 2 weeks, and it was unironically one of the better mons on our team, which is crazy to think about. It's a fucking Ninetales, right? But that's one of the things that we were really impressed by. I guess everyone else must have been impressed by too, because I think literally Ninetales is picked up in almost every pool. But so I mean, we tried to keep the strengths of the team that was working pre-mids and improve upon them. I think the other changes was mainly SV5. We put a Corviknight on SV4. And we changed the part of SV2.
You look at SV2 and that's just Sage.team. Then you look at SV4 and it's very similar to the structure that was on PTE that Undead was kind of using. That we've spoken on this show before. We kind of don't need to go over that again. But it's kind of a similar basis on that. So it'll be interesting to kind of see now that you have the SV5 in motion, the SV3 is better. You might have a bit of a selection headache. Wouldn't surprise me if SV1 kind of starts sitting a bit just because of that little bit of awkwardness you were saying.
We get at least we got options. This is the good thing, right? We did feel like we were locked to 4 drafts pre-mids, so having the 5th draft actually be usable now is definitely a big buff.
Oh yeah, 100%. Then you get the SS here, and you know, you look at how good a season C is having at the minute. And like these drafts, they're definitely interesting. Like you weren't the only ones to kind of go down the San route, although there is a Dracovish, which is kind of fun. Love the double L.
Yeah, this the guys, yeah, that's the goat. I know. Well, this SS3 hasn't been brought, to be fair, and we also just made these transactions at mid. It didn't used to have an Excadrill or Sand. Yeah. I do really like our SS2, and our SS1, to be honest.
Yeah,
both of these, and C has really used them well throughout the season. I have to give credit to her for that, for sure.
To be fair, I didn't even notice that until we kind of started recording that you have a team in every single tier that you just haven't touched, which I think you're the only team to kind of do so. Is that like a thing?
Oh, really? Is that true? Okay.
It's one of those things. Did you just kind of feel that there was teams that were more of better comfort for players, or was it just a thing of, obviously with the SV5 you were saying it felt unusable? Was that kind of a trend across the board that it was like you just felt the other two were better, or was it just kind of a matchup thing?
I'm a very big matchup guy in terms of picking teams, but also in general, I think if you look across the board with old teams, it's very hard to bring all three drafts. Like inherently as well, right? It just happens to be the lower picks on each, like for example, like the 7, 8, like 6 picks in each gen. The teams just don't end up being as good because you don't have one of the best months in the format.
Yeah.
And when that happens, you just don't tend to bring that team more than others. Like you can see here, right? We're bringing our Tornadus and Lando T teams in SS every week. We haven't brought our Kartana team. Our USIM, we've brought our Lando T team and our Tornadus team. Our USIM used to be the Zygarde team. That was our pick 8 team. We haven't brought that. You know, so we just aren't bringing our drafts that started from later picks, and I think it's just because like how good the top picks are is that you naturally end up bringing them more.
Unless you get
right?
really
like
lucky with like round 2, round 3 picks on the later gen, on the like later.
Yes,
like,
exactly. Yep, I agree. Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
You look at USIM, where it's interesting because you have 3 different players slotting into USIM. I think once again the only team to have that, which is no, that's not true. We are too. We've used 3 different players, but you know you've won every.
But
game.
you own. Yeah, we've won every game. Yeah. Yeah, I mean we just have a.
They're interesting.
We just have quite a.
They're very interesting USIM teams. That USIM 2 is like so interesting on paper, but looks.
We love the USIM 2. We think it's like our best team. Like it is really fun to use. I feel like the one thing that people gravitated to, like you look at the other 2 Mega Sableye teams, and they're putting like 4 times Rockwick mons on these Mega Sableye structures, like Volcarona, and I think there's an overemphasis on taking these mons which like need Stealth Rocks off versus like we took Tornadus T, Kieran Black. Mons who are like and the Mega, I guess. Okay, and the Mega, sure.
You don't get to play all high and mighty.
But the point is that these mons are usually checked by having rocks on the field.
Yeah.
And they're a lot stronger with them off it. Like I think Kieran Black is probably like a 25.1 if rocks are not up, just because of the bulk. You're able to use it so much in so many more ways if you don't have rocks up. And that's the idea behind the team, basically. Like the top 2 mons, if you can't get rocks up versus us, they become a lot more bigger of a problem versus your team.
And it's also a thing that I think comparing this to the other Mega Sableye teams is there's much more reliable. Defog Torn is far more reliable than anything else that's on those teams. Like R1 is Defog.
Yeah.
I don't honestly remember what the other one is for removal outside of Mega Sableye Magic Bounce.
I think it was Gladius as well. I could be wrong. Yeah, like, I'm not sure.
Torn is just the first
yeah.
defogger in a lot of those kind of situations. So it even then frees up the Kirim as well.
It's a superior defogger, but also the team can also function without. If you don't want to remove, you don't actually need to remove the rocks. Exactly. Like it's not a game changing. It's not game changing to have to remove the rocks. Whereas those other teams, that's what I was trying to get at, is that if you have stuff like Volcarona, you have to remove the rocks or you will lose, right? Yeah.
No, and then you look at that Gruesome 3, kind of, another Kieran Black. This time with Mega Blast.
Yeah.
Another interesting bit.
It used to be a Zygarde. That one we've just changed at mids. To be honest, we really did not.
You've overhauled the ones you have.
Yeah. Pretty much, which I mean makes sense, right? I mean, we haven't used them for a reason. Yeah. We did feel like that team was the weakest. We got sniped quite a lot in that draft, and I don't think like you would have thought like Undead, me, you would have thought our Zygarde team is like our fucking like flagship draft, right? But the team was just very awkward. Yeah, so I mean, we just preferred it the least out of all three of our teams. So we just decided to completely overhaul it. We traded Zygarde to Judgment, and we tried to make a team that's slightly better, like also like take into account what our other two teams are weak to, right? We noticed at mids that we noticed through the whole season is that across all our teams we didn't have any flying resist. Like I think it was literally like Klefki and Yusum 2, and it was like a Metagross and Yusum 1, and that was it. We had no other flying resist across all the drafts, right? And we're about to play like fucking Mega Pinsir and like that. So we knew we wanted to address something like that. So we traded. I think we had Tapu Fini and Yusum 1, and we traded it for Rotom Wash. We picked up a Zap. I think we traded for Zapdos and Yusum 3 as well. Yeah. So
remember that
yeah. No, we just thought like I mean, Finny's a better one in the vacuum, but we thought that Rotom Wash should be better on this team. I wanted to make this a Mega Venusaur team. Like I love Kang, and I really wanted to make it work, but clearly it was not going to happen. Yeah. Like it wasn't going to happen with this with the type of mons we had, and make it good. Yeah. But I think this Venusaur team is cool. It'll be interesting to see if it ends up being any good or not as well. Because I mean, Mega Venusaur is a Mega that's not really used these days, right? In use them.
Top three in a vacuum, you have Metagross to kind of deal with the laddies. Like Mega Venusaur is an interesting fit. The Alakazam is also the one that I'm like, I'm not sure how I feel about it. Same with the Umbreon.
I think Zam is good. Yeah, the Umbreon. Well, we just need a Dark with Mega Venusaur, don't we? That's basically what comes down. We want one that beats Mew and shit like that. I think we already played a couple of Mew. We played both Mews already because we played Yoshi, who have both Mews like pre-mids. And I think there's no Necrozmas left either. So anyway, yeah, but we that was mainly focusing on what the schedule we had left.
Makes a lot of sense.
Alakazam is just like it's more because there's just no speed options in Usum. Like you just have to like after you.
Like if you're speed.
Yeah, I mean,
or like a round 1 mon, like it's.
Yeah.
I get why it's there.
Yeah. I actually do think like Megazam. Like sorry, I do think Alakazam is a pretty good. My bad. I wish it was a Megazam. Like it's funny, right? If you look at the team, it looks like there's old Mega Alakazam teams that we used to spam back in like BPL season 2. The top 3, right? Yeah. Yeah. Which is funny. It's funny. I don't know. I think Alakazam definitely has utility. I don't want to say like what.
Oh, for sure.
Well, I don't want to leak stats here, but leak ideas. But I think it's a cool one, honestly, especially for 8. I think it's definitely has value. Like I think it's better than stuff like fucking Crobat and like Talonflame for speed. I just don't think like they really have enough power to have be able to revenge stuff and utility. Yeah, I know. I mean, we didn't get lucky enough to get a Coco and a Zera, so I mean, you got to make do, right? Unfortunately.
And I guess on the Auras here, like obviously you're in the position where you've Chip and Mayo, so these drafts are always going to be a combination of like solid, but also a Chip element of unhinged, which.
Yeah, I mean, you can see we have 2 Roselias, right? Both these guys love Roselia. So.
Yeah, exactly. The round 3 Roselia just something dies in me inside. I mean, but I know Chip.
The Auras 2 is just so Mayo as well. It's got a fucking Mega Aerodactyl. This guy thinks Mega Aerodactyl like the second best Mega in the gen. I literally had to when we were building when we were drafting, I literally had to tell him, this guy isn't really used anymore, and he's like, what?
No, that's
it's like why? Why?
It's really funny how I was talking about that in the Auras video that I did with L5 and Low. That it was like, oh, Mega Aerodactyl's kind of fallen off, and Mega Medicham has just kind of fallen off, and the 2 of them have just risen back to prominence so quickly.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, I always thought Mega Metacham was like I feel like people have just been missing a trick in previous seasons. Like
especially now that
I
you're not seeing round 7 Dusclopses anymore. Like it.
yeah, no, for sure. Like people don't like think about it in drafting as much.
Yeah.
It's like Mayo was saying, right? Um, like we always draft a Spiritomb or a fucking Mega, like a Sableye or something like that for these guys, but not everyone does because that is pretty restrictive way to draft as well. Like you're drafting one mon for like, I mean, yeah, I mean, I love Sable like Spiritomb. I think I'm like one of the like I ironically think it's actually a good Pokemon. Like, but I know not everyone does. I know I've been on the Mega Metacham train for a while though. Like I've for a long time I've thought this thing is better than Mega Gallade, and I think that's like you think that's an outrageous thing. I genuinely think it's better than Mega. I think it's better than Mega Gallade and Oras.
I think it's easier to slap on teams than Mega Gallade and Oras. I think it's far easier.
Yeah, and especially in this format, right, where you have 3 Oras teams to choose from. Just having a Mega Metacham as one of your 3 teams makes them really restricts their choice of like teams, right? Because like often they'll have 2 teams like no high jump kick resist, and then they have to pick the one team with a high jump kick resist. But then we have like 3 options, you know, like it's yeah, it's just good for that perspective as well.
Oh, if these teams happen to have, you know, one of the 4 Mega Metacham switches in this metagame, like you're in a pretty alright position with the other 2 drafts.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Because like that Oris 3 also looks very. The Oris 3 looks very old school when you think about it. Like an Azu with Snorlax.
It really does actually.
Like
it used to be a Mega Blastoise with Kieran Black draft. We changed this at mids as well. Honestly, I'm kind of surprised we haven't brought this because we thought this was the best team.
Yeah.
Or a team we had like. Yeah, but then like I mean, Mayor is just addicted to Mega Aerodactyl, so he just keeps bringing this guy. Yeah. But I mean, he's honestly he's performed pretty well as well. So like I can't complain.
Like the wilderness, like he's done pretty alright for himself.
Like he won week.
The decision to have
go on, sorry.
Chip at the same time, especially with like Chip was always going to be that little bit busy, but getting Chip for the price he did to kind of complement Mayo when you weren't 100% sure what kind of Mayo you were going to get, I think it's worked out very, very well for you guys.
Yeah, no, they make a good Oras core for sure as well. I mean, they're both pretty good players. Yeah.
I guess just briefly go over VGC again. You know, yeah, it's not been the ideal start, but you know, I imagine Idle will be able to turn that around in kind of coming weeks.
Yes, hopefully. I know he's been a bit unlucky in like a couple of his sets. Like I think he would have beaten Trace if not for a Poltergeist missed, and he got a bit unlucky game 1 against Yoshi. But I mean, stuff like that happens over a long season. So, ultimately, like I'm not really qualified to speak on on like the drafts or anything. But what I have heard is that we didn't have good drafts. Yeah, is what I heard.
What every single captain has said to me when it comes to it.
Yeah.
It's like I am not versed enough in VGC to really be talking about it. And it's like, you know what, fair, but I still want to address it because it would be a bit harsh to just not talk about it, you know?
Yeah. No, so we did. I think we used a lot of transactions in VGC 2. It used to be an Archaladon, like Murkrow sort of thing. I think from going forward from now on, I'm just making like Murkrow banned Pokemon from all my team tours. I'm just like, that's day 1. I'm gonna say in the VGC chat, Murkrow is banned. There's no Murkrows because I had one last season too, and that shit was dog shit last season. So we no more Murkrows. All right, that's banned. No more Murkrows. Yeah, I mean, I frankly don't really have the expertise to be able to tell you like why this will be like why the teams are better or whatever. But I am told they are supposed to be better. At least the VGC 2 is supposed to be better. So I don't know. We'll see how it goes. I guess.
We'll figure it out there, I guess. No,
yeah.
Honestly, it's one of those. It's a major position of strength at the minute, and yes, the VGC is kind of the minor blemish on the report card, but overall, it's been pretty solid.
Yep, not much to complain about, honestly. Yeah.
And with that, guys, that concludes the Big Fat DCL III mid-season review. I just want to thank all the captains that took the time out of their week to join me on this absolutely crazy video. Like, you're seeing the runtime. If you stayed here till the end, fair play to you. Like, I obviously, if people were skipping to their own team with chapter times, well, provided I can actually get that to work. I hope I can get that to work. Like, fair enough. But if you sat through, well, I think it's 2 hours 45 minutes of footage, just honestly, that is commendable. So I hope you guys have all enjoyed and whatever bits you've seen of this, and I hope you're looking forward to more content like this in the future for other events. I might do one at the end of season. That might be a little bit more tricky. I might do it with just playoff teams, just to kind of condense it down a little bit. So I imagine I'll have K-Crick on again, but shock. But Fox is making playoffs. What's new? But yeah, hope you all guys have all enjoyed, and I shall catch the next one. Peace.